What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Monday, the start of 2+ hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation, taking y'all straight at the lock. If you did not, if you're not aware, did not see the memo, the Royals moved up their start time for their game today. It was going to be, I believe, 7:40 East Coast time. But now, due to inclement weather, they wanted to be super cautious. That's why the slate is starting earlier than anticipated earlier today. We're supposed to be on at 5:30. We're starting at 5 o'clock because the slate has moved up to a 7:10 first pitch with the Royals playing at 7:10 now. I believe that reflects on DraftKings. I'm fairly certain they actually, they sent you a memo. I'm not sure if FanDuel officially has that. That's like even money. Do you guys know if FanDuel has figured it out? If FanDuel, if they figured out that they carried the one and got the time right? I did load up some lineups over there, but I've not checked to see if they. I would assume that they're sharp enough to lock that game at 7:10, but that is why we are on early. That is why the slate starts earlier, not 7:40, but actually at 7:10 with the Royals. There are two late games, Texas, Oakland, Miami. After getting mollywopped by the Oakland A's over the weekend, just an embarrassment of an organization trading their all-star player 5 minutes before the game starts. Just the GM coming out and saying 1 month in the season, we're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think so. It's not going to happen. And they're going to take on the Dodgers. So spoiler alert, the Dodgers are going to be popular tonight. We got Kirkwood back. It's been a while since we've seen you, Kirkwood. I'm glad that you're on the road to recovery. That's why we're a few minutes late. We're talking to Kirkwood, and glad to hear he's back with us. What's up, Kirkwood? How are things?
The kid is back. It's great to be here. I already see Bobby Gomes in chat, and I've been waiting all day to see him so I could say something.
Oh,
it triggered me. First of all, I have a question for Bobby Gomes. We know you hate the Bruins for the weirdest reason on the planet Earth. We know you hate the Celtics, even though you say you don't. You do. You say he puts out a tweet today. Am I crazy for thinking that the Celtics go 7 games with Cleveland? Is he engagement farming?
Yes, he is. He is great. Maybe he is engagement.
Is he engagement farming, or did he watch a single minute? Did he watch a single minute of the Cavs game? Does he know that Jared Allen is dust? Does he know
he's got a rib? Well, I don't know if he's dust.
Donovan Mitchell is playing through tons of injury. Garland is playing through injury. The second unit is crazy.
Well, yeah, I was saying a game 7. Everybody loves a game 7. Game 7s are amazing, but game 7 Orlando, Cleveland.
They're playing significant. Tristan Thompson's getting significant minutes. And they started Marcus Morris over Okoro and wondered why they lost. The guy couldn't move out there. But he you know what he did? He stole all of Mobley's rebounds because they just went right to him. I had a Mobley over.
Somebody bet the over on Mobley rebounds.
Yeah. So he's on my gutless list, but
ribless if nothing else. At least one less rib for Allen. And they're just playing for the right to get swept by Boston. And good for them. But yeah, Bobby must be just engagement farming. He hates the Boston teams because it affects his parking. When there's games locally, he's right around. That's a nice humble brag too. He was right next to the stadium. The other thing is, speaking of that,
you should see his. He's got a Maybach too.
That's a car.
Yeah,
I don't know what Maybach is. I'm not a car guy.
You don't listen to hip rap music? You haven't listened to any of the Kanye?
No, I don't know what's going on with the beef between Drake and somebody. Apparently, Drake's getting killed though.
Kendrick
Lamar. Yeah, I haven't been following that. Somebody's got to catch me up on it. Is that a Rolls Royce? I'm being told it's a Rolls Royce in chat. I don't know. Hey, it's a 6-game slate. We certainly have time for shenanigans. Also, it is Movie Monday. I know how much Keith loves himself a Movie Monday. What's up, Keith? There's a Maybach. There you go. Oh, it's the Mercedes-Benz. I didn't. Okay, so why are you talking about Rolls Royce in the chat? That's two different things. Don usually says Dina has no clue. I know I have no clue. I concede I have no clue. It's what's important in life is not only to know what you know, but it's important to know what you don't know. I don't know about what a Maybach is or cars, vehicles. Don't care. It's just not for me. But if you like it, cool. Have at it.
Drake has been winning, by the way. Drake.
I'm told Drake is getting killed.
Drake is throwing in the towel now, and people are saying it might be a couple of things in there has hit a little too close to home. That there's more proof behind it that he's now Homer Simpsoning out of it. We'll see.
Keith, do you have a take on the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef?
I have no idea what's going on. Definitely not my wheelhouse.
No. How's Monday treating you, Keith? Everything all good?
Yeah, pretty good. Nice of them to move that Kansas City game up. It makes our decisions with pitching there a lot easier, and that's definitely one that I have a ton of interest in. So don't mind starting a little bit earlier if it means that we don't have to worry about whether that game's going to go. I mean, even if we only get 8 or 9 innings, I'd be totally fine with that. But yeah, fun little 6-game slate here. Can't wait to break it down with you guys.
Keith, I can't imagine you're on Cole Reagan's. Like, you've only pitched them like every start he's thrown in the last like 15 starts or so. So spoiler alert, I'm guessing you're going to like some Cole Reagan's. Now Bobby's definitely engaging farming in the chat saying Drake greater than Kendrick.
Yeah.
we're on to him.
You can read this guy through like a book. It's crazy.
Do want to say what's up there, everybody hanging out in chat. Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. I wanted to reward, and this was producer Devin's idea as well. So on Movie Monday, I always kind of like throw by the topics, the clues to Devin and producer Steve, and kind of get like an idea. And I said, and I was like, yeah, I think this one's too easy. And Devin's like, well, yeah. And then they got it pretty quickly. And the chat likes to give you the business, like, oh, it's too hard. It's too hard. Getting a week free of RG Premium, that is a nice perk. You have to earn that. You shouldn't just be given it. But what we're going to do is we want to reward the people that show up early, show up on time. The show starts at 5:00, so we're going to have two different versions. I think we're going to do the first one pretty quickly. We shall see. But you guys know how this works. You put your answers into the Discord channel. That is rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. Tell us what movie we're talking about, one word at a time. You only get one guess per word. Also, we have tiers coming up later as well. We're going to talk about, but we're probably going to be divided on this, but it's a fun little conversation we'll have. We're going to power rank our favorite stacks on the slate. But the very first word for Movie Monday, again, guess what movie we're talking about in the Discord channel. You get one guess per word. The first word is alive. Alive. Word number one is alive. And again, we're going to do 2 of these, assuming this first one is done pretty quickly. So we're going to give out 2 individual weeks of RG Premium. Or if you prefer to have scores and odds, you want scores and odds, you can have that as well. This is a good time to shout out Noto, by the way. Noto hit a 100-1 winner for golf this weekend.
And I was sick.
Well, you were going to bet it and you didn't bet it? You just forgot?
I always lay. So when I think of it, I always go into scores and odds and I look them up and I throw whatever pocket pizza money on whatever Noto says. But it didn't even cross my mind this weekend.
Oh. So I actually had the winner. I only had $25 on it. If I'm going to complain here, this is like, you're never happy. I'm never happy. So I had like a $250 free play, and I put that. He had 2 picks. I think he had 2 guys. Maybe it was 3, whatever it was. And one was the favorite. I'm like, let me put the 250 on the favorite, who finished like 15th or something like that. Favorite was like 14-1. And I put $25 in that guy. And I won like $2K or something like that. And like, yeah, I'm thrilled. That's great. And then, that's pizza money, as you say. A lot of pizza money. But shout out to Noto. He's done that several times this year. And obviously it only takes a couple of those to sustain you for the season.
And then I see Cal Spears. Cal Spears nailed the Derby. And he texts me every time for UFC picks whenever UFC fights are on the pay-per-view. And I didn't get any text. I didn't get any text about his horse picks or anything. It's crazy how people just walk all over me. And this, it's crazy.
Devin in chat says, same, just like you, Kirkwood. He literally always tails, just forgot this week for whatever reason. Do you partake in such things? You're not really a golf guy, are you, Keith? I don't think you are. You're surrounded by a lot of golf courses, I imagine. But
yeah, I don't play a lot either. I don't do it as often as I would like to. I wish I would remember every week, and I'd always tail Noto because he's obviously fantastic. But I was not in it on this week. I have been several times this season, but was not there this week.
There are people in chat guessing the movie Young Frankenstein. That is not it, but doesn't matter. Even if it was, that does not count. Guessing in the YouTube for funsies, sure. It's not Spaceballs either. You do want to guess in the Discord channel. And let me see if anybody actually hit it. I want to see if we can knock out the second one, the second clue. Maybe we can get this one out of the way. We shall see. Let's see. Producer Steve, you'll let me know if somebody hits it, right? I'm pulling it up right now. I don't think anybody hit it just yet. Let's give him the second clue. Short Circuit is a spectacular guess. It is not Short Circuit, though. It's not Weekend at Bernie's either. Another spectacular guess. Nor is a Pinocchio. I am enjoying these guesses. Well done there. Those are all incorrect. Alive is the first word. The second word is vulgar. Vulgar is the second word. Get those in. All right. We shall see if somebody hits it or we shall move on. But let's knock out the slate overview. Again, it's just a 6-gamer. We got plenty of time, an hour plus to discuss the 6-gamer going on tonight. Keith, give me the overview. We got a couple pitchers coming back we haven't seen in a while. Walker Buehler, we haven't seen in like 2 years or so, but he's facing the putrid Marlins. He did go 5 innings his last start in his rehab start. We're also getting Justin Steele back, which I'm sure you're excited for your Cubbies. We haven't seen him. Well, actually, we did. We saw him for 1 start earlier this year, and he got hurt, but he's back. Luis Castillo is really good. Your boy Cole Reagans. And then we have like the Dodgers are the clear and obvious offense, I guess. Maybe KC is second. We'll discuss, but I'm curious what your overview is on this slate.
Yeah, I think you ran it down really well there. On the pitching side, there's a lot of big names on the slate, but like you said, first start of the season for Buehler, Steele was hurt on opening day, so he has made just 1 start and didn't even get all the way through it. So while they're big names and fantastic pitchers, I don't know that we really need them for DFS. Buehler's an interesting case. Steele, I think, will be pretty limited today. He only threw 64 pitches, I believe it was, in his lone rehab start. So I think he's probably looking at a max of like 80 pitches, probably 75 to 80. So it's tough to play Steele, especially with the matchup against a high contact San Diego team. So like it's Castillo and Reagans are the very clear spend ups. And then there's a pretty chalky SP2 as well that we'll get to over on DraftKings, who's a pretty uncomfortable roster since he likes to give up quite a bit of home runs. On the offensive side, it's the Dodgers standing out above the rest for sure, but they're expensive. And if you want to get up to a Cole and a Castillo and Reagans build, it's really tough to fit Dodgers in. So there are some other options. I think Seattle is really fairly priced. They have a nice matchup as well. But yeah, Dodgers definitely in a tier of their own, but there's a couple of 2 or 3 offenses you could throw up there with them.
Shout out to D-Rock. D-Rock got it right. See, we make the clues easy and we get it on 2. And we make it very, very, the chat complains it's too hard. It's too hard. It's too hard. D-Rock nails it on 2. Producer Steve or producer Devin, they're going to slide into your DMs there. They'll be DMing you on the Discord. They'll juice you up with either a week free of RG Premium or a week free of Scores and Odds. If you people, do you know what the answer is? Kirkwood, I saw you were playing. You were guessing in chat, Brokeback Mountain. That is, first of all, you're guessing in the wrong spot. Even if you were right, you wouldn't get RG Premium. I thought I explained the rules pretty clearly. Derek is even saying that was too easy. Yeah, it was too easy. We got to Goldilocks it. It's too hard. It's too easy.
So Brokeback was wrong. It wasn't Brokeback.
Correct. It was not Brokeback Mountain. Yeah. Okay. You want the third clue? Everybody else can play along. Alive, vulgar. I'm not sure how you get the Brokeback Mountain there, and I have no questions, no follow-up questions. Alive, vulgar, toy is the third clue. Alive, vulgar, toy. What do you think, Kirkwood? You got anything there? Well,
I couldn't even understand your last word there.
Toy?
Toy. Okay, I was hearing like hoy. I was like, okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Alive, vulgar, toy, McFarlane.
Brokeback Mountain.
No, not. We've already established that. The last one is Lasso. And it's not Brokeback Mountain. I know that one would actually make sense. Finally. Oh, yeah, maybe it is. No, it's not. It's not Brokeback Mountain. Yeah. Don Easy got it in chat. Ted. And why is it Ted? Well, why did we pick Ted today? Because Tom Brady was in Ted too. Close enough. And the Tom Brady.
Did you watch that? Did you watch it? You watched
it.
I saw you tweeted. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch as well or no? You got time for this?
I had it on. I was laying in bed.
All right. Did you have a 30-second synopsis analysis?
I thought everybody was good. I fell asleep before Ben Affleck. That I heard some people were saying Ben Affleck wasn't.
He was
good.
a little uneven.
but what's her Glazier killed it.
She's a killer.
Yeah, and obviously Jeffrey Ross always kills it too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Right. It's been like 5 years or so since they'd had a proper roast. Comedy Central used to do them all the time, but Comedy Central, whatever. Also, the pandemic, I think, didn't help. Like the last one was it Rob Lowe maybe like 5 years ago or so? It's been a long time since we had one. No, it was Baldwin.
They used to do like they've done like Pam Anderson. They've done like so many people. Like, yeah, I don't know who the last one was.
All right. Give me your overview as far as the slate here, Kirkwood. What are we looking at here as far as today's 6-gamer? We're going to start a new movie game in like 10 minutes or so. But get your brains ready for this one. The chat's going to nail this one as well. I think it's easy enough, but not as easy as the last one. But Kirkwood, I want your screenshot. It's a 6-gamer. Pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, like it looks like pitching is extremely obvious. It looks the best pitcher is Castillo. Right up there is Reagan's. And then people are there's probably like 50-50 on people on whether they say Haney or not Haney. You know, a lot of people are saying, I hope Haney's chalk. But Haney looked fine in his last game. He's playing the A's. I don't see Lip in chat today. So and
he's
I
on
think
vacation.
My theory is he won about $1 million and he's off and running and retired because he finally caught his A's stack. And 20 runs. Or was it on his day off? Because when it was yesterday, right? Was it yesterday?
I think it was Saturday. They dropped the 10th spot on the Marlins on Saturday. And I think it was on
either
a slate.
Either that or he killed himself because he missed it.
Oh, it's not.
It's one or the other.
All right. Yeah, maybe the A's they're due for some regression. They're taking on a Texas team that's Andrew Haney's gonna be pretty popular. Castillo 46% Kirkwood on DK. You got to roster 2 of these guys. Of course, there's only 12 pitchers taking the bump. Haney's coming in at 40%, which does seem kind of egregious. We were talking about this pre-show, myself and Keith, and we're kind of digging into all this stuff. But one of the potential pivots is Kyle Gibson. There's no polar bear, no polar bear tonight. No Pete Alonso, and that could be enough to like put you on Gibson, I think. And then the Buehler thing, I feel this is kind of anecdotal, but I feel like Dave Roberts is more of an innings guy than a pitches thrown guy. Keith, I see you're nodding your head. Like I think it's just like he's going to throw 5 innings, and if he does it in 65 pitches, so be it. If he does it in 85 pitches, so be it. He's not going to go 100, but like he's going to let him throw 5 innings, and that's it. Like that's kind of where I'm at. And is 5 innings good enough against the Marlins? And like Buehler's a good pitcher, but he's kind of Max Fried-esque. Is that fair to say? I feel like he's kind of in that mold where better in real life, not an amazing strikeout guy, but again, it's the Marlins. 5 innings, he's going to get the W theoretically. And he's not like cheap. On FanDuel, he's got a good price, but you want that QS, and I don't think he's getting that QS because I don't think there's just no way in my head Roberts lets him go 6 innings. Now, can you survive on 5 innings? I think, maybe. We'll see. Good win, by the way, today for as far as pitching in Wrigley. Yu Darvish, revenge game, right? He pitched for the Cubs. I don't think he pitched spectacularly. And then on the other side of that game, how many pitches are we expecting for Steele? 78? Is that enough? Probably not. But like he should be pretty good in those 78 pitches. Let's start there, Keith. The 2 pitchers that we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen Walker Buehler in 2 years, I want to say, in the majors at least. And Justin Steele we haven't seen since opening day. Are we Xing these guys out? I'm willing to play Buehler. Short slate, good matchup, and I think he goes 5 innings. But you tell me, Buehler and Steele.
Yeah, I am terrified that Buehler goes 5 scoreless innings, and he's sitting at 64 pitches, and that's just the end of the day for him. That you nailed my thoughts on that exactly. Like it's Dave Roberts. He's been healthy all season long. They just purposely held him back. They wanted a slow ramp up for him, basically, just because they knew he was going to have an innings cap. So they started him in the minors. The surgery, like you said, was like, I don't know, 18 months ago or something like that, 20 months ago. It's not that he was still recovering necessarily. So I think he's healthy enough to go out here and throw 95 pitches. I just don't think that that's the plan for him. It's a slow ramp up for Buehler. They want him healthy for the playoffs. The other thing is, I'm concerned about the strikeouts. Like, we haven't seen him in a really long time. Miami is a horrible offense, but they don't strike out all that much.
They lost the Rise. I think that's worth noting.
That is a fair point. Yes, that definitely is an increase to their strikeouts for sure.
But by lost, I mean they traded him 5 minutes before their game started. But go ahead, for nothing. but continue.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the upside for Buehler. I think Luis Castillo and Cole Reagans both have immense upside in their matchups here today. I don't see a reason to go with Buehler over one of those two guys. Is my argument there. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's a good pitcher. I think he's perfectly healthy. If you guaranteed me 90 pitches and they would let him go as long as that allowed him to, I would have a lot more interest. I'm worried that there's a hard cap on him today and that there's not a ton of ceiling there. With Justin Steele, it's pitch count that I'm worried about. Like I said, only one minor league rehab start in his ramp up back up. And it was like 64 pitches. So maybe he can get to 85. I kind of doubt it. I think he's going to live in that 75, 80 range more often than not here in this start. And then, like I mentioned, San Diego is extremely low strikeout as well. So I'm struggling to find the upside for Justin Steele as well. I think he will limit runs while he's out there. I don't trust him to get a ton of strikeouts, whereas I do trust Luis Castillo and Cole Reagans to get a ton of strikeouts. So for me, it's very clear where the upside lies in the top end range.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. And I think that's where the field's going to be at also. I just dropped the weather report in chat, Kevin Roth's weather report. He did updates talking about how Kansas City moved their game up a half hour, which should give them enough time to play a full game before the main line arrives. That's, it's certainly possible that they go 7 or 8. Like, as far as pitching, though, we don't care. Like, we're not expecting Cole Reagans to drop a CGSO, maybe a little bit for hitting wise, but they seem to think they're going to get 9 in most likely. Roth will come on in a bit and give you the update, of course. Jump in here, Kirkwood. Official takes when it comes to let's knock out I don't know why I'm working this way, just the two guys we haven't seen in a while. Steele, and I kind of agree. Steele, I'm probably not going to get to. 4.5 is his K prop for what it's worth, and maybe Buehler. Like the ceiling is just, I guess he can strike out 7 or 8 Marlins. I think he gets the win. Somebody in chat was asking about the umpires, the usual qualifiers on Monday. The umpires can certainly change for start of a bunch of new series. We don't have them all. There is just one extreme as of right now, an extreme hitters umpire for Minnesota and Seattle. That's the only extreme we have. But Kirkwood, your take when it comes to the two pitchers you haven't seen in a while, that would be Steele and Buehler.
I have no interest in pitching Walker Buehler at this point. I let him work himself back in. I don't want to have to go for an extremely efficient, perfect game, for him to get there. We should expect some bumps in the roads with his first game back in a while. And he hasn't really gone that long in any of his rehab stuff either. So I don't expect that, that long to start. Steele, the same thing. I just don't see the reason. It's so easy at the top. I think you just nail that down and then just try to build a little bit differently. Like, Castillo is amazing right now. The way he just mowed down the Braves the other night with 7 Ks, deep in the 105 pitches. So you got to like that. You just get so much more upside with this pitch count. And then you got Reagan, who he threw 105 pitches in his last start too. He's facing Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee's been a pretty good offense, right? But they're not good at all against left-handed pitching. They're top eight in strikeouts, K percentage so far, and they're down to 23rd in WRC plus against lefties. So this is a perfect spot for him. So to me, they just, I know it's just 6 games late, and I want to get weird, but I'm not doing it with them. I like Haney. I think he's going to throw a good start tonight, but you never know. If I wanted to, I think Darvish could. I don't really want to get too involved in there either. I definitely don't want to back your guys Gibson.
I should mention the weather edge. If you want to sell yourself on Darvish, 102 previous games in Chicago, similar weather, winds blowing in 10 miles per hour from dead center, 61 degrees, 49 is the dew point. I know you're a big dew point guy. In those circumstances, 35% hit as far as homers. You're going to hit a 35% home runs, 15% runs, a decrease there. So it sort of plays out. It's very, very much pitcher's weather. with San Diego and Chicago.
Well,
and
Darvish would be the one guy. Like, I was
Go
hesitant with Darvish because he's like the one guy. Like he's like hit or miss completely, and you can't predict it like ever with this guy. But he's also been having some neck injuries, been battling through too. His last start was good. Now you said revenge game against the Cubs. He's already done that once this season, and so this is going to be a double revenge. This is going to be a revenge on a bad revenge start. So that works in his favor. When you go into a revenge spot and you do terribly, now you want revenge for that the second time around. So does
revenge expire?
No, this is the quintessential double revenge spot. This is the thing. I've been we track it on our well, I don't even want to give out the goods, but it's being tracked. Just trust me.
Yeah. Is it behind a paywall? You want to drop a link or something? Because I'm curious now. You got my attention. Where are you tracking this?
This has been value added stuff that I've done to my beta group for my dew point model. So
that sounded like a word salad. None of that made any sense. Did you buy any of that? Keith, what is he saying? You believe any of the stuff he's saying right now?
I mean, I think there's some truth to it. I think he needs to do a little bit more back testing, but he might be onto something there. my issue though is Darvish is not all that different than Kyle Gibson at this point in his career. Like Darvish used to be a 30% guy, strikeout wise, but now he's down at like 21%. Kyle Gibson's at 19%, and I can save $1,000 on him on the salary. That like
Darvish is like
I'm
almost
having
40, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like 36, I think. 36, 37, somewhere in that range, yeah. But his skills
now, if I want to get weird, you got anybody want to get weird? What about Rodri Munoz?
No. Go weird. I'm not the stuff you're playing. You're playing like single entry stuff, right?
I know, but I'm trying to. If I wanted to get weird, I'm trying to say like that's his stuff.
There's getting weird. There's getting stupid. I think that's getting.
It's stupid. A bad matchup for sure, but his stuff is pretty good. I think he's.
I just don't understand what happened from AAA to the majors. Is my argument there? Like, where is this coming from? He's had some strikeout stuff in the minors.
There's a lot of vitamins going around these days.
Well, maybe.
He was not a prospect really for the Marlins, and they had a lot of injuries.
He was DFA'd by Washington not a prospect at all. Like literally cut loose. Could have had him for free any team in the league. Pittsburgh claimed him off of waivers from Washington, and then traded him to the Marlins for like $100,000, $50,000, something like that. It was literally nothing that they got this guy for.
Did you watch the game against the Cubs? You probably watched that because you watch all the Cubs games. I know he cruised against Colorado at home, but that was Colorado at home. He did strike out 7 Cubs. He gave a couple homers for what it's worth, and he hasn't been wild at all, really. But you always watch the games, Keith. Did you watch that the game by chance?
I did watch it. Yeah, and what I was watching did not match his statistics, which is what I'm struggling with here. Like he has a super live arm. Everything moves all over the place. He throws 95, 96. But then I look at his minor league stats, and the dude had like a 15.5% walk rate in AAA over 2 years. Like, where did that go? Why is he all of a sudden able to find the strike zone?
He figured some things out. These kids grow a lot.
And he's going to figure it out against the Dodgers. He couldn't do it against the.
He's going to do the impossible. When somebody tells you it can't be done, that's when you look them in the eye and say, "Watch me." And you go. And
most likely, it's not. Did somebody watch Rudy before the show and you get motivated? Like it's, Rudy was based on a true story. There was a guy who was like a walkout at Notre Dame. The rest they kind of made up. Most of that stuff you only hear about the 1% outliers that were actually. Their dreams do come true. They don't make a movie out of the guy that, somebody told they can't do it, and guess what? They didn't do it. That movie was never made, Kirkwood. But all right, you're a believer in Rodri.
He's got a good pitch mix. He knows a cutter, sinker, four-seamer, slider. He's got some heat. Like he's obviously he's got control issues in the past, but those things are people turn the corner. The Marlins really like this guy. You can tell because they let everyone else go, and they're all in with this guy.
It's a sharp organization. They've never made a bad decision. I love that. All their
I will say the stuff is like Kirkwood's absolutely right about the stuff. Like he has a very live arm. Like if he can control and harness his stuff, this might be real. But and I will say also like AAA, especially when you're like knocking on the doorstep of a major league call-up, like you can be working on one certain thing in AAA because the games don't count. That's why you're down there, is to fix some things. So if he was like throwing strictly his fastball to harness his fastball command, and I'm completely making this up, like I have no idea what he was working on in AAA, but scouting AAA statistics is really hard, is the point I'm trying to make.
If you were going to power rank the 12 starting pitchers today, in terms of likelihood you're rostering them, Keith, there's 12. Where would Roddery rank?
He would be above Alex Wood and Bryce Wilson, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Alex,
double digits, 2d10.
That's nice. I would have thought you would have had Alex Wood higher.
I would roster him ahead of Justin Steele today.
That's a salary decision, I guess. But yeah, I guess they're all salary decisions. But okay, fair enough. Did you want to talk about Gibson? So no Machado today for San Diego, and no Polo Bear for the Mets. So a couple lineups taking a little bit of a hit. I also wanted to ask about how real the reverse splits are for Reagans. I know you dig into this stuff, Keith. Talk about Reagans and his reverse splits. Are those legit? And are we thrilled to see a bunch of righties?
100% legit. He uses a completely different off-speed pitch mix when he faces a lefty or when he faces a righty. When he faces a lefty, he is all fastball slider. When he faces a righty, he mixes in an elite changeup and an elite curveball that he like almost doesn't use at all to left-handers. So his two best pitches, he has three really good ones. His fastball is really good as well. But the one he gets all the whiffs on are his changeup and his curveball, which are both reverse splits pitches. So his reverse splits are absolutely real. So Milwaukee throwing out their 8 righties, yes, please.
Is this a dumb question? Like, they have to have somebody on staff that knows this, right? Like it's great that you dig into this stuff, and we can look at Plate IQ and see this stuff. How do they not know this? And how do they just say, "Oh, we're just gonna throw one lefty"? Because the rules say LR. That's it. LL is tougher. I'm just asking a question you can't answer, but it's just strange.
It blows my mind. Like they have to have a whole team of like looking at statistics like this. You would think like there's a whole front office that is analyzing data on a daily basis. You would think. So I don't understand decisions like this, but like I was on this in his last start against Toronto. I wrote it up for this very reason. They threw 8 righties at him. And Toronto doesn't have a choice. They just don't have the lefties, where Milwaukee is just making the decision to sit left-handed batters against him. And that's the wrong decision.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who their lefty. They started Frelick, right? And then like Perkins is a switch hitter. And like, we used to see, was like Shane Victorino. There was somebody that would switch when like there was actually reverse splits guys. There was a couple hitters that actually did that, but you rarely see that. But like Jake Bowers isn't starting, right? Oliver Dunn is not starting. Tyler Black is not starting. Is Terang starting? It's just strange, but okay, whatever. That's what they're gonna do. Did you want to give a take as far as Kyle Gibson? I think you're talking about him as kind of a pivot away from the chalk SP2, right, Keith?
Yeah, it is strictly just I don't want to play Andrew Heaney at 40%. And I'm struggling with this because it is as good of a spot as you could possibly wish for Andrew Heaney. He's a fly ball guy who gives up way too many home runs, and he's in one of the best parks to avoid that today. Oakland is terrible. It's a great strikeout matchup for him. I don't think that he's a huge strikeout guy at this point. He is really focused on his control, which is a good thing. It'll help him get deeper into the game. He's really cheap, which is the other problem. Like it's a perfect matchup and a really cheap price tag. So it is a very tough fade, especially when your options to get around it are Kyle Gibson and Simeon Wood Richardson. Like that's not comfortable whatsoever. Heaney is definitely safer. I'm just hoping that he gives up a couple of runs here. I can match him with Kyle Gibson going 6 or 7 innings and getting me 4 or 5 strikeouts. And then I'm way ahead of the field if Heaney gives up a couple of home runs. I'm not completely fading Heaney because, like I said, I think it's an awesome spot for him. He's a guy that I generally fade when he's popular, but this is as good of a spot as you can get.
How long has JD been back for? Did I miss that while I've been sick?
Yeah, he's been back about 10 days or so.
Yeah.
In chat, Max Video is asking about FanDuel had a message that KC game no longer in the main slate, although now I don't see that message anymore. I never got that message, never saw that message. So the story is Kansas City moved their game up a half hour because of weather issues. It was supposed to be a 7:40 start time, and now it's 7:10 start time. So that is the story. And the slate has moved up. I just pulled up FanDuel's lobby, and it looks like they figured out a way where it says 7:10 is their start time. No, wait, is that? No, that's basketball. Yeah. So I think they figured it out. Don't hold me to it, but I'm fairly certain they figured it out. That Kansas City just moved their start time up, and that's why the slate in its entirety moved up, because before that happened, the start of the slate was 7:30 or 7:40. All right, let's get out the first clue for the next movie. Let's go ahead and movie number 2. And again, if the first person to answer this gets a week free of RG Premium or a week free of Scores and Odds, you answer in the live stream chat channel, rotogrinders.com/livestream chat. The first word for the new movie is limit. Limit is the first word. Limit. And it's not Brokeback Mountain. Kirkwood, give me the summary as far as pitchers.
Having too much fun over here. That there's a very clear top end that we all agree on, right? With Castillo and Reagans. Haney is where we all kind of have our own little opinions and whatnot, because and I'm all about just pitching him. I think he's coming off of a good start. He was a very efficient start against the Nationals. This is like Keith said, this is just a really great spot for a pitcher like him in Oakland, that fly ball guy. Weather is it's pretty cool night over there, and this is a matchup he should be able to dominate. So I'm in on that there. And then if you anything else, I think it's like trying to get weird. And Keith likes Kyle Gibson. I'm not such a big fan. I think Manaea could be pretty good. Maybe Darvish could be good. And if honestly, I just have this feeling that Roddery Munoz is gonna pitch well tonight, and these Dodgers are gonna be gutless like they were against the Nationals.
But you're also playing a bunch of Dodgers. Like, spoiler alert, you're gonna play a bunch of Dodgers.
I'm just telling you. Yes, I'm just telling you what I'm feeling.
Well, it's an emotional hedge. It's very clear you're emotionally hedging. That's all you're doing.
I don't emotionally hedge. I'm not a hedger in general. I don't hedge, period. I go balls to the wall in everything I do. I never hedge.
Not to call back my golf victory. And again, I know nothing about golf, and shout out to Noto, but I did live bet the other dude he was up against, who went in the tank. Like, he was supposed to lose. The guy that ended up winning was supposed to lose in the last hole, and I bet like $500 the other way. And just as I don't want to lose. I wanted to make at least $600 or something like that. But Kirkwood, I'm a hedger, and if it makes sense, I'm not one of those like cash out for like 10% of the bet and there's one leg left. It's like you're trying to rob me because you're thinking I'm afraid I'm going to lose the whole thing. But like, if it makes sense, I'm a hedger. Are you on Team Hedge Life, Keith, or not so much?
Generally, no. I don't. It's hard to get a good price when you're trying to do that.
Yeah, and not only that, it's hard to feel like a real man. You know what I mean, Keith?
And hedging is not masculine; it's a beta move, is what you're suggesting. Is that what I'm hearing, Kirkwood? I'm okay with it.
You put 2 and 2 together. I can't stop you.
Hey, anybody get on? Let's see. It's not Squid Games. To be clear, it's a movie. It's not a series. It is not Speed or Aladdin or Terminal Velocity or License to Drive. These are all good guesses, though.
What was
fire off the second clue again? Limit was and just we don't want to spoil it just in case you accidentally walk into the right answer. Let's not spoil it for the people. Feel free to play along and type it in our private chat. But the second clue, and this is where maybe people might think it. Who knows? Get your fingers ready. Limit was the first clue. Upset was the second word. Okay. So you threw out, we talked about this earlier today, Kirk, when I threw it at you. I said, hey, is there anything you want to rank? Is there anything you want to rank for the people as far as our tiers? And you threw something out there, and I think I just I twisted it a little bit, and then, I don't know, the lines got exchanged, and you didn't get back to me fast enough, but we'll figure it out later on. But long story short, we ended up with chain restaurants, not fast food restaurants, chain restaurants. Did you guys see my rankings or no? I gave them to producer Steve, but in the chat, let me know. The best chain restaurant, again, not fast food restaurants, one you got to sit down. The best one and the worst one. The best chain restaurant, you were talking like generic, like Italian, getting.
Well, I was talking like good restaurants, quality restaurants, but like what's your go-to? So like a steakhouse or like a really good Italian place or a really good. That was my first thought. and then you took it and said chains. So
yeah. I made it specific.
Yeah.
But let's see what the chat is saying. There's no answering movies. The chain restaurant Donnie Darko is not very popular. Yeah, but did you have a hard take on this, Kirkwood, or not so much?
I can't see the board.
The board's not up just yet. Well, now it's up.
Right,
Producer's team just threw it up there. It's inspired because somebody the other day asked
how is Cracker Barrel how is Cracker Barrel tier 2? And
I'm glad you asked. So number one on the board, yeah, Devin too. Like that's the wild card apparently. So is Cracker Barrel up there in the Northeast? I feel like it's more of like a Southern thing. I could be wrong on this, but I think Cracker Barrel.
We have them. We have them all over, but it's like a breakfast. It's like always on the highway. It's like a breakfast spot or. Yeah.
How do you mess up breakfast? Breakfast is spectacular. Eggs, you can't screw up eggs. You want some sausage. Like, you want an omelet. You want some toast. You want some pancakes, some waffles. You can't screw that stuff up. And the thing is, you can throw an IHOP, you can throw in Denny's. But what separates Cracker Barrel is the little board game you get to play board games while you're waiting for your food. And I'm sure that's the cleanest thing in the world. Like those things are not dirty at all. Like nobody's touched those the last 30 years and then started eating their food. But just like breakfast food. Now that's what I was thinking. Cheesecake Factory.
If I was making this list, I would have like is Capitol Grill like a chain? Like that's like a high-end steakhouse that's in a lot of cities. I think it's a chain. That would be like a top tier. Then you would have like places like Chili's, like things down there somewhere fitting in. Cece's Pizza. Is this a joke?
Well, okay. Do you understand that like the bad stuff is at the bottom and the good stuff's at the top? You understand?
Yeah, but like, why would that even be an option? Who
because
the hell
Cece's is terrible. Like somebody said, like, how do you pizza? Even
I mean,
pizza,
you could put like Pizza Hut.
No matter how bad it is, pizza's good. Like, Cece says, "Well, hold my beer. We're gonna make some bad pizza." And then what's worse? You're in the Golden Corral.
Of course, like like who the hell would ever go there? Who would go there?
You're just saying the board is a good board. That's
I agree on Golden Corral. I get like Cece's. That's like must like that. We don't have Cece's.
Okay, but you understand that there's other people just because you have not experienced.
I would say everybody.
What? But like you can, it's a bad pizza buffet place basically. And you mentioned Chili's, Applebee's. That's all like kind of the same. I was going to put that in the middle. But Buffalo Wild Wings, at least it's like a sports atmosphere. So that's kind of
what? No, I would put Buffalo Wild Wings ahead of the Chili's because Buffalo Wild Wings has that sports atmosphere.
That's what I did. I didn't. You can only rank 5.
But I would put another category of like Chili's or like
you can't add. Like you're not understanding. You only have 5 options. The one all the way at the top's the best. The one all the way at the bottom's the worst. And I think you agreed Golden Corral's terrible. So we're not as far apart as you may think. And Cece's is like, oh, you think pizza can't be bad? Just wait. Keith, you have any thoughts on this? What would you put on the board?
So I agree with your list here for the most part, except Cracker Barrel is the one that stood out. That was like, why is that on here? And Cece's just it's not the most popular thing, and it feels more like a drunken college experience than anything an adult would eat. That's probably the last time I've had Cece's Pizza.
Me too.
I don't know. Cracker Barrel above Buffalo Wild. I would probably flip those two. But if you're going for a breakfast place there, I would probably go IHOP over Cracker Barrel.
IHOP, of course.
I'm not gonna fight you. I just I just like you got the little board games to play with. I like the little triangle game. You ever play the triangle game? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, with the golf tees.
They have a little gift shop. There's a swing out front. If you're
have you ever bought anything from the gift? Have you ever bought anything in that gift
Probably.
shop?
I just like knowing it's there.
What are you, a big shot glass? You get a shot glass from New Hampshire? I was in New Hampshire.
I just like knowing it exists.
Or a little keychain or something.
Brian is saying Cheesecake Factory is terrible, and like, come on. I understand it's chalky, but like, there's 99 different options at least, like 99 different pages. There's gonna be, if you can't find one thing you like in that menu, you're just not hungry. That's it. And in worst case scenario, you have the cheesecake. You just go for cheesecake. And who doesn't like cheesecake? Spectacular. Anyways, that is our board. We are going to give our favorite teams based on the stacks today. Let's give out the clue one more time, the third clue. We've had no winners, right? As far as I can tell, we've not. It is not Hoosiers or Dodgeball or Miracle or Mighty Ducks. Oh, you know what? We do have a winner.
I got
we do have a winner. Producer Steve. Yeah. So we have a winner. We'll play it out, but somebody did win it in the Discord. Somebody did get it on 2. Limit Desert. Now this is just for funsies because somebody already got it. Limit Upside Desert is the third clue. Okay. And you can get yourself a week free of RG Premium or a week free of Scores and Odds. Producer Steve or Producer Devin's going to be contacting you in just a second to hook you up. If you didn't happen to win, you can always pay for premium. NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, MLB. We've got whatever you want as far as the sports. Of course, NASCAR is a la carte. If you want to commit to 6 months, you get $250 off. That's $469.99. You want to commit to a month, you can get $40 off for a limited time. You want to commit to just 3 days. You're not a big fan of commitment, $19.99. Check out those links in the description. You also get access to SimLabs. What is SimLabs? It's the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs. It was available in basketball, NBA, PGA, now, of course, baseball. Just a few clicks, get hundreds of well-correlated, well-built lineups for whatever contest you're playing. You're playing large field stuff. You're playing single entry stuff. You can be as ambitious as you want to be. You can say, I want to stack this team. And, you can go through the lineups really, really quickly. I want that one. Yes, keep it in the yes pile. Throw that one away. Throw that one away. Do check out all the links in the description. First stack. Well, let's just go ahead and go game by game really quickly. Crunch time's coming in about 25 minutes or so. You get Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. You get Taylor Smith as well as Kevin Roth, chief mineralogist. First game, let's talk about Kirkwood. I'll let you set the board, and then myself and Keith, we will tell you if you are wrong or if you're correct. Democracy rules apply, 2 out of 3. That's kind of how we go. But, yeah. Offenses here as far as stack. What tier are you going to put him in? Let's talk about the Kansas City game here, Kirkwood. We got the Kansas City game that was moved up in time. If you guys missed it, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Cole Reagans versus Bryce Wilson. Where are we putting the Brewers and the Royals?
I think you're putting the Royals are clearly Cracker Barrel, unless we're going up. If we're going to share there's like. The Dodgers are in their own tier, but if you want to kind of mix all the good options up there, they would make it the Cheesecake Factory. But I think Cracker Barrel is probably correct.
I was told Roddery is going to shut the Dodgers down. Now they're in the top.
I just feel that I'm telling you what I feel. It's just like the Nationals, and the reason why the Dodgers were flirting with the gutless rankings until now. And by the way, the Padres have been moving out of those rankings.
Oh, yeah, we got to get an update. I know you've been busy. You haven't been feeling well, but one of these days we got to get an update in your gutless power rankings.
I feel like they're a Friday show thing.
Donovan Solano looks like he's playing baseball for the Padres today. Is he even in the player pool? I'm not sure if he is or is not, but I would agree, by the way, with Kansas City. Keith, I want your take as far as the Royals. I would put him in the Cracker Barrel. A positive weather for hitting, too. We should note that. Let me check out. At least it was earlier today, unless something changed. Yeah, so 25. Okay, no, not really. It's 17-mile-per-hour winds, but it's a crosswind, basically toward left, toward third base, essentially, 74 degrees. Yeah, I thought it was better earlier today, but I suppose the wind is fluid, the rain and the precipitation and, just weather in general. And I think it changed on us. But, Keith, would you agree? Kansas City in the Cracker Barrel tier?
Yeah, we're going to make it 3 for 3 on Cracker Barrel. I will say the lefties I would have up there with the Dodgers as among the best plays on the slate. Bryce Wilson has been absolutely just roasted by lefties, and we're working on a couple years here with this. So guys like Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Massey is somebody I really like for value. Those lefties look really good. And then the full stack, the only issue with that is you have to pay up for Bobby Witt and Sal Perez. Not that they're bad options by any means. They're just a little bit pricey. But I would have the lefties in the top tier as like a mini stack. But as far as a full stack go, I'd keep them in Cracker Barrel.
So I've run the numbers, and Vinny P on Mozzarella Monday has a 650 ISO.
That's on all Mondays or just mozzarella Mondays?
Mozzarella Mondays.
All right. The mozzarella is implied. Yeah. But Garcia stinks now, right? Was he really good to start the season and now he's terrible again? And he's still leading off, but just thought it was worth noting. There's your mush play. You mentioned lefties, Keith. Even Adam Frazier.
Melendez has been atrocious.
Yeah. I don't want to play Adam Frazier, but I guess he's cheap and he hits from the left-hand side. Is that like stack only, Keith, Adam Frazier?
Frazier's definitely a stack only. Melendez has enough power. I'm okay with it. There's a lot of swing and miss in the game, and Wilson actually does strike out more lefties than righties. But he's cheap. I'm home run hunting with the lefties. My top two are definitely Pasquantino and Massey, but Melendez is totally fine as a one-off. Frazier, I would make sure it's only in a stack.
I think Witt's a really interesting pivot away from Betts, assuming Betts is getting more ownership than Witt. I haven't done the math on that, but to me, it just makes sense that people are going to want to play Betts first, just because the Dodgers are the most appealing stack on the board. Of course, you can play both if you're getting creative, if you're throwing Betts at second base, but at some point, salary becomes a thing because you do live in a salary cap. Okay, Castillo versus Woods, Richardson, Mariners versus the Twins. Kind of a coin toss. Seattle minus 120 favorite. I know Minnesota's won 13 in a row or something like that. That's still going. I think it's still going, right? The power of the sausage. You guys see this terrible sausage they keep carrying around with them that's since expired? Are you aware of the story? Maybe not. But feel free to do the Google. Mariners versus the Twins. Keith, what do you got?
I would put the Mariners right there with the Royals in the Cracker Barrel tier. I think they're one of the top offenses on the slate. Woods Richardson's not that good. I know he was pretty good in his first two starts, but his minor league numbers are not impressive. And if you look at the underlying stuff, his swinging strike rate is 7%. He currently has a strikeout rate of 20%. That's not going to hold up. He didn't strike out anybody in the minors, and he's not going to strike out many people in the Mariners, in the majors. The Mariners' biggest problem is strikeouts. So I actually love this matchup for Seattle. They have plenty of power in the lineup. They just swing and miss too much. I don't think that's going to be an issue here against Woods Richardson. So they're right up there with KC for me.
They turns out Minnesota lost yesterday. I missed that. Thank you in chat, but they did they went on a run there for a bit. I was doing a quick search on J-Rod. He's just been so terrible this year. Julio Rodriguez, and he's notorious for slow starts, but if you look at his Savant page, it is not it's not great. Although it looks like it's getting better. Okay, so he must be better of late. The sprint speed spectacular 97, sure. Okay, so the average exit velocity, so he must have improved the last couple days or so. So maybe what's his xWOBA? Must be higher than what he's knocking out so far. Let's see, 348 WOBA, 337 xWOBA. Just kind of asking about J-Rod. Are you concerned at all? Someone like Corbin Carroll or Corey Seager, a little more concerned about those guys. But are we less concerned about J-Rod? Do you have a take on this? I know he's really cheap on FanDuel, Keith. J-Rod for the Mariners. He's going to be fine, right? Theoretically.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. He was a super prospect when he signed at 16 or whatever, and he was electric at 20 in the big leagues. This guy is totally fine. He's one of the best talents in the game. He'll figure it out.
All right. Kirkwood, how do we feel about the board here? Seattle, Cracker Barrel, Minnesota is right there with Cece's Pizza. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you can. I'd have no problem throwing them down even lower, but I think
who's them? Fine. Minnesota,
yeah.
You think you could possibly throw them all the way to the bottom?
And I'd probably move the Brewers down.
Wait, didn't you set the Brewers?
No,
that wasn't you. You didn't.
I think we skipped over the Brewers, to be honest.
Oh, the producer Steve just throw. I think producer Steve's just taking liberties. It's let's just throw him the Buffalo Wild Wings. And I just didn't catch it. But all right. So, do we agree with the board like that, Keith? Milwaukee and Cece's against Reagans? You probably do because you love Cole Reagans.
Milwaukee would be Golden Corral for me. I legitimately think Cole Reagans is a top 10 pitcher in baseball. As far as talent wise, Luis Castillo and Cole Reagans are in the same tier. If I was just straight ranking them, I would have Reagan slightly ahead of Castillo as the best pitcher on the board today.
Rocket Sauce in chat says WTF is a Cece's Pizza. You're better off not knowing, Rocket Sauce. I promise you. You're better off not knowing. Yeah, producer Steve just plays his own game. He plays the home version. And I
Is it like
appreciate that.
7-Eleven pizza?
No. I mean, like, well, I don't know if it's better or worse, but like, it's probably in that quality, I imagine.
It's in the tier of Little Caesars, but probably worse.
I think that's slanderous Little Caesars, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, it's fine. It was like $4 or $5 back in the day. I don't know how much it is now. I couldn't tell you, but yeah. And like you said, the drunken college thing, that's kind of when you would go to CC's Pizza, essentially. But all right, next game, next matchup. Kirkwood, give me the Padres and the Cubbies. 7. We got a 7 total. Darvish versus Steele. Really, really good pitching weather. No Machado for San Diego. Looks like Donovan Solano is in the lineup. Not the best San Diego lineup. Of course, Chicago still without Bellinger, still without Suzuki. So it's not the best Cubby lineup either. And again, producer Steve, he's guessing and he will maneuver and manipulate after. Let's see if he gets it right. Where would you put the Padres to the Cubs, Kirkwood?
I think that's right.
Steve nailed it.
The kid finally caught one. We don't have to see him on Twitter late at night. Tilting.
Well, for those that aren't looking at the board, we should talk through it. Buffalo Wild Wings, yeah, right in the center.
Yeah, and I mean, people are still mad at you about the Cheesecake Factory being up top. I kind of agree, but we're gonna look past.
What would you have put up top? What would number one?
I would have put like
Outback?
a better, yeah, even Outback's better.
Texas Roadhouse, like a steak place.
Texas Roadhouse would probably be a middle of the option. I would put like a high-end chain. Like there are high-end chains out there. There's like Capitol Grill, there's Maggiano's, there's things
There's like 6 Maggiano's in the entire country.
I'll take the over on that.
Yeah, I will.
Maybe there's 20. But there's not a lot, is the point. There's no Maggiano's in
the one thing I'll say about Florida is tough for food scene, but you should have all the chains. Like that's all.
There are a lot of them down here.
Chains. Yeah.
Ruth Chris was one. Ruth Chris is probably.
Ruth
I just thought it was too small.
Right to the top. Yeah.
There's not a lot of Ruth Chris, so maybe there's like 50 of them. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever.
Publicly traded company.
But I like a healthy disagreement. That's pretty good. San Diego, Chicago. Where do you want these teams here? I am not really on the offenses. The weather. I think both pitchers are at least competent. I think Steele's pretty good. He's not going to stick around too long, but more than any other ballpark, we know weather matters in Chicago. The 7 total. Vegas is really telling us the homers can be subdued, but certainly ownership can reflect that. Bush, when he gets a hold of it, doesn't matter. Morel, when he gets a hold of it, doesn't matter. He can knock it out any time. Keith, how do you feel about the smack in the middle there? Wild Wings, both Chicago and San Diego.
Yeah, I think I agree with the Cubs. I might bump San Diego down one. Just Justin Steele's really good. The only reason I think they're okay there is because the Cubs bullpen is pretty shaky. The weather definitely plays a role here. I'm not enthused to play either one of these teams, but like we're running out of teams. Like it's only 6 games. There's clear offenses we want to target is what I'm getting at. There has to be somebody kind of in the middle. I'm good with San Diego either in CC's or B-dubs.
Do hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Don't go anywhere. Crunch time coming in about 15 minutes or so. You got Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, Taylor Smith, Kevin Roth, TJ in chat telling us there's 52 Maggiano's across the United States. So there's 1 in each state. Like, come on. This isn't like a big, massive chain. A few more than I thought there was, but still, point still made. Mania versus...
had to be a massive chain. Is CC's a massive chain?
There's more than 52 CC's, I'll tell you that much.
How many CC's? Where is CC's? Where is it? What part of the country is CC's even in?
I don't know.
I've literally never heard of it.
I've lived in Chicago, Dallas, and Oklahoma City, and there was one in all
276. There's 270. That's a lot more. That's at least 6 times.
Is there one in Massachusetts? Tell me if there's one in Massachusetts, and I've just never.
You don't want to go. We should do a bet, and the loser is to go.
I'll go. Let's go. You want me to go? And I'll film it. I'll film a pizza review at CC's.
Would you rather do that, or would you rather, streak at Boston? And they'd be wanting to streak at Fenway for the entire
season.
Make
it a weekend. I could do them both.
Road trip to CC's. We'll have to figure out a bet, and the loser goes to CC's. Yeah. Do I have to talk a friend of mine into going?
Steve, look up if there's one in Massachusetts, though.
Apparently 133 of them are in Texas. Is that true? I didn't realize that they're all in Texas.
Chop just loves that CC's, I bet.
Chop, big CC's guy. All right. The Mets at the Cards, 8 total. Manaea versus Kyle Gibson. I don't know who's going first. I think it's Keith. Set the board for the Mets and the Cardinals.
Yeah, not real excited about this game either offensively. I will go. I think these are kind of two right in the middle as well. Steve wants the Mets all the way up at the top. I'm definitely not doing that. Yeah, give me Cardinals and Mets both in Buffalo Wild Wings.
What's Jose Fermin? Is this guy related to the guy from Kansas City? Are they brothers by chance?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Is he any good? He's leading off and he's 2.1K. That's why I'm asking. I don't know much about him. He's not
very good. He's kind of a journeyman.
Huh. But he's professionally trained to hit baseballs?
Allegedly.
Eric in chat is telling us we have some JD Martinez BBP, which I'm sure is legit. Like, he probably 12 years ago he faced Kyle Gibson. But okay, those numbers still hold up, I imagine. For me, the 31st ranked prospect for St. Louis, just 25 years old. Yeah, he showed some speed in 2018, 2019, but not so much of late. Whatever, he is cheap. Kirkwood, how do you feel about this board here? Yeah, that's the most important. Yeah, he's cheap.
It pains me to do this, but in tonight's slate, I'd actually. It's stupid. I know it's gonna lose, but they're high on the gutless rankings. But that's because, and so they're gonna get even higher because I'm gonna play them. Yeah, St. Louis, like they're a lineup that's like built to crush left-handers, right? And they're so gutless.
In 2019, but yeah.
But like Contreras is still good. Goldie, whatever. I think Arenado still has some left. I know everyone loves to beat down on him, but Herrera has some pop too. I kind of like this lineup tonight.
JD Martinez, 10 for 34 in his career versus Kyle Gibson, 7 singles, a double, and 2 homers, 11 strikeouts, 6 walks. That's not like amazing. He's just like faced them enough where at some point he's got to hit a couple homers. Wilson Contreras, 3 for 5 with 2 home runs versus Manaea, if you care about such things. If he put the bat on the ball, it went over the fence because he struck out the other 2 times. And Jeff McNeil, probably the only guy he's got 2 home runs against in the entire league. He's got 2 home runs against Kyle Gibson and 19 at-bats. So good for him. All right. We moving on here. Did I miss? Was there any counteraction as far as the Mets in St. Louis?
No, we need to discuss Texas though.
Well, no, that's the next game.
Yeah,
that is the next game. Texas versus Oakland. Andrew Heaney versus Wood. They lost the rookie. He's out for like 4 weeks or so. I guess it's kind of good because he was thinking it up. Do we have a Texas lineup just yet or no? I'm not sure. I know we have a projected lineup, obviously, but want to see if we got a Texas lineup taking on we got a Dodgers lineup. We'll get to that in a second. It's Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, Hernandez, that Teoscar Hernandez, Pages, Lux, and Outman. So that is as expected. No Texas lineup just yet. They might be making a move. Maybe they already made a move. Setting that Langford is going to be out for a month or so or something like that. But he's not playing baseball tonight. Texas and Oakland, Kirkwood, take the board.
Yeah, I'm going to put Oakland down at the bottom, even though Lip is here. They do have some pop though. I mean, but not in that ballpark. I'm gonna put them down at the bottom, and I'm gonna put Texas up in the Cracker Barrel.
Just all right. The tricky part is the ballpark, right? And Oakland's bullpen's been pretty good, but like that's in part if you're gonna get Miller. Like if you're losing, just forget it in the 9th inning, right?
Yeah, if I ever have a bet against Oakland. And and I'm down like 1-0 or 3-2, and they go. I see that he's coming in. I just cash out.
Game over.
Doesn't matter. Like I know it's bad, expected value, whatever. I just do it. I'm like, there's no way you're getting a run.
Oakland down at the bottom there with Golden Corral. Keith, do you agree with that? Texas all the way up to Cracker Barrel.
Oakland is a full stack. I do agree. Would be Golden Corral. Since I'm attempting a Heaney fade, I am going to want some of these Oakland bats as one-offs and 3-mans even. Rooker looks really good to me. Langoliers looks really good to me. Ruiz is what I'd probably need a 3-man stack to play Ruiz. He can get there with a couple of steals without hitting a home run or something, but I'd prefer him in a stack for sure. But as far as a full stack goes, I agree with Golden Corral, but I will have some exposure as one-offs in 3-man.
Dodgers, huge favorite versus the Marlins, minus 330. 8.5 is the total, but like 5.5 of those runs are going to LA because the Marlins have a team total under 3. Projected lineup: Chisholm, De La Cruz, Bell, Sanchez, Anderson, Gordon, Brujan, Rivera, and Fortes. It is a terrible lineup. And again, a little bit more strikeout heavy now that they lost. They traded away, dumped Luis Ariz to San Diego. We just got the Dodger lineup as well. Kirkwood, I mean, producer Steve's already putting the Dodgers there in cheesecake. Are you going to agree with that? And how about the Marlins?
I want to throw that something on Ruiz too with what Keith was saying. Haney is you can definitely steal bases on Haney.
Good call.
So he and I know Bobby's in chat, so Bobby loves Ruiz too. Like even as like a Bobby says he's the quintessential cash play, right? Like didn't he say that or something? But anyways,
which is funny because Bobby never plays cash, but okay, yeah. But I know he does love Ruiz.
But Ruiz, I like Ruiz too. I'm fine playing him as a one-off tonight.
Haney breaks that rule, right? Like theoretically, lefty pitchers are tough to steal on. 2 stolen bases this year, 11 last year in 147 innings. It's not a ton, but it's not nothing. The year prior, 0 stolen bases in 72 innings. That's pretty good. But 11 last year in 147. I don't know if that stands out as like, it's a great stolen base spot, but like probably better than most lefties. I don't know.
Snell's the other lefty that gives up a ton of steals.
Yes, that's a good one. Snell was a great answer. And then like I remember R.A. Dickey, you people assumed you can steal on him, but his delivery was so fast, like you couldn't steal on Dickey, despite the fact his knuckleball was going, 60, 65, whatever it was. Okay. Dodgers and Marlins. We got the Marlins. Is that producer Steve throwing the Marlins in Buffalo Wild Wings? That feels a little bit ambitious to me. I don't think they're middle of the pack. I guess there's some leverage there, I suppose, if people are rostering it. But jump in here, Keith. Fix this, or maybe it's correct. Dodgers up at Cheesecake by himself in their own tier. Marlins middle of the pack. I don't agree with that.
Dodgers up in their own tier, I do think is correct. They're clearly the best offense on the slate. They're the best offense in baseball so far this season, highest team total on the slate. We have no idea if what Rodri Munoz is doing is real or not. I don't think it really matters. The Dodgers are always in play, no matter who's pitching. Miami, it's just not an exciting offense. Walker Buehler is a good pitcher when he's right. We haven't seen him in a very long time. So if you want to play that angle, maybe you could put him up that high. Personally, for me, they're going to be down at Golden Corral. I'm just not trying to pick on Buehler or a Dodgers bullpen today.
That's pretty much where I'm at as well. I never shouted out the winner, by the way, for a second movie question. I didn't really give all the clues. Anyway, they didn't need them all, obviously. But clue number 1 was Limit. Upset was number 2. Dessert was number 3. No, Desert. Was thinking about Cheesecake Factory. Limit, Upset, Desert, Post-apocalyptic. Easy for you to say. And this will be the dead giveaway if we really needed one. Scherzer. So it's not Brokeback Mountain, but what is it, Kirkwood? Limit, Upset. Yes. There you go. And our winner in the Discord channel got a week free of RG Premium. It would be, let me scroll up. My apologies. Big ZYW. I assume the producer Steve or producer Devin has already hooked you up. Can we hook the people up with some homer calls, Kirkwood? You got some homers for the people? It's just a 6-gamer. I know you didn't know this was coming. You've never done this show before. You don't know. Oh my God, we got to give out some homers. Never even thought about it.
I thought Cheese put the kibosh on this, because he said he doesn't like doing it either, and so I kind of ran with that.
But the people like the homers, and I thought you do not want to be a man of the people.
I am a man of the people. I can't. There's nothing I can do that can change that. But I'll go.
Feel free to be ambitious.
I mean, if you look on the bat, home run percentage wise, it's like every Dodger.
Yes, which is why I said feel free to be ambitious.
All right, we're gonna say it's Chisholm in your face.
Jazz Chisholm. Is that a Juggalo bomb officially?
That is Juggalo Bomb, number 1.
All right. I can't believe Dave Potts in the chat says, Kirk, the people will revolt if you don't give them the home run calls. Yeah, like Cheese gives the qualifier. He's like, well, I don't like doing this. I don't really know what the odds are, but he'll play along. He'll appease. He gets Cheese, of course, man of the people as well. How did you not go? What day is today again, Kirkwood? You told me before.
Because it's too easy. That's low-hanging fruit. It's Mozzarella Monday, Vinny P.
Yeah. How did you not go
ISO.
Vinny P?
650 ISO on Mondays because I thought I had to go like someone more off the. You made me feel like I had to do it off the wall.
I'm not making you feel anyway, not intentionally. You're your own man. Spidey Bomb's incoming at 100 likes. Are we not at 100 likes just yet? That's insulting. Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications so you know when we go live. You would have thought earlier today, if you didn't know better, we were starting at 5:30. We didn't. We started at 5 o'clock because the slate did change. Notifications would have told you otherwise. And yes, let's get Cheese a wrench. Dave is not he's not wrench worthy. That's ridiculous. We gave you some time. Icers, Fleisters. What do you got, Keith? Who's going yard today?
Better chances of doing it, like a higher end guy. I love Adolis Garcia today. And I'm sticking in that same game. Rough ballpark to pick home runs in, but I'm going to go Brett Rooker gets to Andrew Heaney on the other side.
I'm looking at our consensus rankings. Myself, Squirrel Patrol, Keith, yourself as well, and Head Chopper. We just did our top tiers, our top stacks. And there are 12 teams playing baseball today. We're asked to rank our favorite 5, and it's pretty tight. We've only, consensus-wise, we have 6 teams. We basically stuck to the same 6 teams. LA was number 1 across the board. Kansas City second. Seattle, Texas, St. Louis, Minnesota. Only one person said Minnesota. That feels like that's a squirrel take for sure. That is the old leverage move, isn't it? Maybe. We'll see. Stay tuned. Oh, look at that. Dave got his wrench. That was pretty quick. Cheese got his wrench instantly. You ask?
You know what?
It took Kirkwood like a month to get his, I think. He had the
I was about to step down and say I'm not, but I didn't think anyone would care. I was not going to do another show until Dave gets a wrench, but I'm glad he got the wrench.
What? You were going to take that stand. If you're not a man of the people, you are definitely a man of your cohorts. Speaking of them, they are here. It is crunch time. It's Taylor Smith. It's Dave Potts. It's Kevin Roth. Let's bring him in right now. What is up, Roth, Dave, Taylor? Dave celebrating his new wedding. Also, Dave celebrating your child has graduated college. Congratulations for that as well.
Yeah.
I was reading the music.
And I got a wrench. Like, what a huge week this has been.
If you were to power rank those two things.
Definitely. I mean, wrench on top and, 16 years of school or whatever. That'll come in number 2.
You said instead of going to the graduation, you end up going, you went to like a fair and like watched music and you saw your favorite band.
Yes.
What are your favorite bands?
One of my favorite bands.
One of your favorite bands?
The Eli Young Band.
Okay.
Like popular country from about 10 years ago. Everyone would recognize a few songs. Everyone says, I'm not sure I know who they are, but you would know who they are.
I'll have to give them a Google. I'll check them out on Spotify. But
as good as Insane Clown Dave on a Insane Clown Posse. Neil Young.
It's very similar style. Very similar style. Yeah.
It's a side project.
What a night that was. I just was. Man, that was good times.
That was Eli Young on the right in the
correct. Yes.
Roth, are you aware of Eli Young?
Yeah. It's like
I think they're from Texas.
Keep on going, even if it breaks your heart.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
That song
you got it.
That
song's incredible.
I have really liked that song for a long time. I had no idea who sung it, and I've been wanting to hear it, and I couldn't remember the name of it nor who sung it until just now. So thank you.
Well, there you go.
That worked. Rock, do you eat CC's pizza?
Like, have I ever? Like in college, yes. I'm a grown man now, though.
I don't know if you watched the previous show. That was one of the hot button topics in the power rankings. Like, they say like, pizza. No matter how bad it is, it's still pizza. It's got to be good. And then CC is, well, actually, we can make terrible pizza. Just watch us. But we all experienced CC's at the last time, I believe, in college at some point. But we were power ranking food chains, and that was the second to last, second worst one, right above.
What was worse?
Golden Corral.
Oh, gee. Oh, we did a basketball dinner at Golden Corral before the game once, and that was a
Before
mistake.
the game.
Let me tell you. I'm not going to go into details, but that was a poor choice.
Before the game is an odd move.
Yeah. Oh, regretted that one.
Yeah. So, but myself and Kirkwood, we're going to have to a bet in the future, and the loser has to go to CC's. I don't know.
I don't know where the closest one is. I might have to fly into one, but
road trip. All right, myself and Keith and Kirkwood, we do appreciate y'all watching the first portion. We're going to yield to crunch time in just a second. But yeah, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and hit the like button enough. I know Spidey is lurking in chat as well as TJ. You get 100 likes, some Spidey bombs we drop in. We'll throw in some ding dongs as well. I did not give any out, but we'll give some out in the chat in just a second. But let's not stall any longer. We got crunch time. Kevin Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. It's crunch time. You know the drill. To the sharpest minds in the biz, walking you up through lock here. I got to be honest, I thought Cece's Pizza went bankrupt and was out of business, but there is one nearby my house that has a 4.2 star rating. That can't be right. Like, I don't trust any ratings.
Well, like the 8-year-olds like love it, and they're on the internet now. So that's
okay.
Probably
Maybe that's
where it went from.
Yeah. No, all right. That checks out. Two of the sharpest people in the biz here, helping to hang out with us. We got Dave Potts. Cheese is good. What's up, Cheese?
Yeah, not too much. I mean, huge day here. Just got the wrench coming in hot, so I feel good about everything.
Very good. I still got to get my wrench. I got to figure this out. We got Taylor in the house as well. Taylor, do you have a wrench?
I think I have a wrench somewhere. I'm not really sure what this is actually in reference to, but yeah, I do. I think I do have a wrench.
Yeah.
Somewhere in your home, you have a wrench. All right, that's fair.
So
it's not what we were
that's also
for.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right. Guys, we got to talk about the slate. There is like a minor weather concern in Kansas City, and I'm starting to think people want pitchers here too. Is that right, Cheese?
A pitcher and hitters, yeah. Both near the top of the list.
So Kansas City was smart. They've got this storm system that should arrive right at the end of the game. If it had gone as planned, this storm system was going to be like right after the game or right in the last innings. Then they moved the game up 30 minutes, which is really smart. And that makes me very happy. And that should save us from having to deal with that storm system. The problem, or at least the potential problem, is that we could still see some little pop-ups out ahead of that main line. And if we just get unlucky and one of those pop-ups goes up over the ballpark, then you get a middle of the game delay, could be 4th, 5th, 6th inning, whatever. And then you reintroduce that line, and that line is game ending, right? If that line moves in, it's lights out. They're not playing once that moves in. I don't think that's likely enough that you should plan on that happening, but I do have to let you know that is a legitimate possibility. Like, there is a chance that could happen. It's worst case scenario, but it could happen. Jeez, is that scaring you off of things, or are you just sticking with it?
No, I think that's I'm not gonna start worrying about the potential unlikely pop-up.
Okay, great. Well, then, I mean, there will be pop-ups, to be clear. It's just not necessarily going to go over the ballpark.
Right.
Yeah. Very good. Cam the man says, hey, Kevin Roth, that Ohtani guy, pretty good, huh? Cheese, that guy pretty good?
He really is. It's hard to even understand how good he is. Yeah. And he's not even being the best pitcher in the league this year, but he could be if he wanted to be. It's amazing.
There was a graphic up on TV. I was eating and I looked up, and it was like Ohtani was first in every hitting category, I think in his league or whatever. And he's the best hitter. He's the best player in baseball without doing the thing that he's top 10 at doing, pitching. It's freaking incredible. I love that guy so much.
And he still stands out that much, even being on probably the best offensive team in the league. He's still like ahead of everyone else. I mean, Mookie Betts is amazing, but I think Ohtani still just kind of laughs at his weak little hits.
Yeah, it's incredible. Okay, let's see. I just went to Cece's Pizza 2 weeks ago because my 8 and 9-year-old wanted it. I took down 13 slices and it wasn't that bad. Anyways, what's up with Reagans and Castillo? John, that is a phenomenal comment and question, and a perfect transition into our pitching of the night.
13 pieces, but it wasn't that bad. It sounds like you liked it a little bit more.
It sounds like it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Damn. Are these like little square pieces, or does CC's do like typical? I'm gonna need to know. Are these like traditional pizza slices, or are these like 13?
They make a round pizza. Yeah,
they do a round pie. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about some pitching here. We will get more CC's pizza comments coming in. I don't hate on 13 slices. I will eat an entire large pizza by myself. So I'm not judging your 13 slices, but I'm impressed. Cheese, what are we doing pitcher wise?
Okay, so the thing I guess we should talk about first is Walker Buehler is back off the IL. So is Justin Steele. I think Justin Steele is unplayable tonight. Like, he's the guy who's definitely going to be in a pitch count because he never got stretched out in just one rehab start. So to me, Steele is unplayable. I mean, feel free to do whatever you want. But Walker Buehler, nobody has any idea what his pitch count upside or likelihood is. He did get like...
I'm sorry, Devin. I'm sorry. Damn it, Devin.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry, Cheese. Continue. Devin, this is your fault. You made me do that.
Yes. My best guess is Buehler gets 5 innings, period. But he did throw 86 pitches his second to last rehab start. So if they want to let him throw 95 pitches and go 7 innings, they could. Personally, because it's the Dodgers and the chance that the Dodgers are just up 10-0 anyway, I think 5 innings is more likely than 6, and 75 pitches is more likely than 90, but I don't know. I have 0 Walker Buehler.
Yeah.
I have absolute 0. I don't think there's anything wrong with having him as your SP1. If you just think he comes back and he's just full strength, that's fine because of the matchup. But I don't think he's as good for DFS as Castillo or Reagans, even if all of a sudden he's 2021 Walker Buehler in his first start back. Like, I like Castillo and Reagans better, period.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I think Castillo is the chalk. With Reagans and Buehler kind of splitting up. They'll add them together, they'll equal Castillo, which is about what our ownership is showing. So if you don't want to eat all the chalk, I don't think Reagans is popular enough to matter either. So I'm playing Reagans ahead of Buehler. On DraftKings, Andrew Heaney is chalk, which is weird. Just in general, it's Andrew Heaney. But at Oakland, he's actually been pitching really pretty well. I hate to say this out loud. I think it's good chalk. I never thought I would say that, and that doesn't mean that he is. I think if you're playing by the book, whatever book that is, you probably should play Woods Richardson instead of Heaney. I'm playing Heaney, but I'm a chalk donkey, as they say. Realistically, if you had like one tournament lineup just trying to win all the money, building a bunch, you don't care what happens, I would say play Woods Richardson instead of Heaney, and just hope for the best. But most likely with this matchup for Heaney, I just think he's the better play. So I'm just eating that chalk.
Is there pitch count concerns with Heaney? I'm looking here, some other guys have 99, 96, and we've got him at 81.
So the reason his pitch count is low is because he's been so darn efficient. He doesn't need any pitches. Like, he got 7 innings on 74 pitches last start. He wasn't on a pitch count. He's just he's been that good that back-to-back quality starts under 80 pitches, or the last one, I think he had 4 runs instead of 3, but he's not really on a pitch count. He's not a guy that takes a lot of pitches to get the job done.
Interesting. Okay.
So I'm playing Heaney. Again, I think Castillo Heaney is the chalk. If you want to get off the chalk, I would do Woods Richardson instead of Heaney, and Reagans instead of Castillo. I also think you can go to that mid-tier with Kyle Gibson. I don't have any Yu Darvish. I don't think he's good enough to be worth the extra money over Kyle Gibson or close to Reagans where he's at. But I do have a little Gibson. That's my whole pool, personally. Castillo, Heaney, Reagans, Gibson, Woods, Richardson.
And on
That's
FanDuel,
good.
is there a specific pricing difference that stands out?
The hitters are really easy to get. So Castillo is 10-2, and Reagan's is 9-5. Bueller is a little more interesting there because he's 8,300, and but I still don't think he's getting more than 5 innings. Just I don't know, random guess. But so I'm not playing him on FanDuel either. But I think he's much more reasonable there. But I would rather play Heaney because he won't be chalky so much on FanDuel because you can only get one of these pitchers.
Right. Okay. Very good. Taylor, let's bring you in here. Talk about pitchers. Are you on the Heaney train?
Yeah, he right now is my highest owned pitcher. So I agree that he's pretty good chalk. Good park upgrade for him. Oakland, they've been kind of better than expected, I think, but still some strikeouts there. It's not the most powerful offense top to bottom, and Heaney's just a bit underpriced on DK. Plus, I think people are going to see that you can pay down for him and get the Dodgers, which on this slate is quite appealing. Really the only offense that clearly stands out above the rest. So they should be pretty popular, and Heaney should be popular in Dodger builds. I do think the Woods Richardson thing is interesting. Seattle's just a really high strikeout lineup. Really, other than Rojas and France, pretty much everyone here is striking out like 30% of the time this season against righties. Woods Richardson's not the most exciting guy to begin with, but he's cheap, and the other cheap pitching options other than Heaney are really not exciting. So I do think he's pretty intriguing for tournaments. This morning, I thought I would have more Alex Wood just because he's 5-5 pitching in Oakland against Texas. Decent strikeout matchup for him. He's just not really a strikeout guy anymore. And I think I can accomplish what I want to with Heaney or Woods Richardson instead of him. So it's really just kind of unnecessary to go all the way down to Wood, unless you really just want like a lower owned flyer guy. At the top, I have a lot more Castillo than Reagan's. I do have some Bueller, though, mainly because it's Miami. Not an imposing lineup in the least. I think they have a sub-4 or sub-3 implied run total. So really not much resistance there. More strikeouts to be had now that Arise is gone, too. So I do have some Bueller, even though there's an obvious concern about his cap. But otherwise, I'm not messing around too much with Kyle Gibson or Darvish. Justin Steele, certainly not on this slate. I think the chalk's pretty easy to identify, but I think it's also pretty good chalk.
Okay, well then let's kick it over to bats and stacks. And I'm intrigued if you're trying to get different there, or if you feel there is obvious chalk with the bats.
I think the Dodgers should be chalk, and that is, again, good chalk. They're playing Miami. This pitcher, Rodri Munoz, we have not seen much of him in the majors. He's been quite good, but his matchups have been really easy. I think he faced Colorado last time. Nothing about his minor league data makes it seem like he's the strikeout guy that he's been since he got to the majors. So Dodgers, obviously the most talented offense on the slate. With the cheap pitching, it's easy to stack them with Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, etc. being pricey. Other than that, Seattle is kind of an interesting, more of a DK thing. It's a cheap stack, so if you want to pair Castillo with Reagan's or Bueller, something like that, it's pretty easy to get to Seattle against Woods Richardson. It's a pure value thing, and they do have power even with all their strikeout stuff. Park upgrade for them leaving Seattle as well. Should see some ownership there, and I think Kansas City might be kind of trendy. They're at home in this first game of the night. Bryce Wilson has kind of been a reliever the last few years. Before that, he was a punching bag type for the Pirates. KC is a pretty good offense in general. I'm not getting to a ton of them personally. It might just be an ownership fade kind of thing. If they are going to be popular with the 4 or 5 total at home, just not really getting there, though I do see that they are quality options overall. But otherwise, I think it's kind of spread out. Maybe some St. Louis, Texas in Oakland should be interesting too. Otherwise, you're just playing like the going against the high-owned pitchers, Reagan's with the Brewers, Heaney with Oakland, for example, that's viable on this slate. Even Minnesota against Castillo, who's had some power issues against lefties, and Minnesota has quite a few at the top of the lineup. So I don't think on a shorter slate it's insane to play that game. We were just trying to stack against the chalky arm.
Okay. Cheese, I want to talk stacks with you, but I do want to bring up Jake's comment, and this is something that Taylor said as well. Anybody that pays down a pitcher is going to be stacking the Dodgers. A lot of lineups are going to go that route. Is that what you feel is maybe the one chalk that you need to try to avoid?
That's definitely the chalkiest chalk. Like
yeah,
any lineup with two cheap pitchers, like any lineup, probably 90% of those are going to be Dodgers stacks. So do anything other than that.
Okay. Well, what are you doing stack wise?
Two cheap pitchers and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So very obviously the Dodgers, right? But I like the Royals every bit as much. Like, to me, I think the Royals, will probably be the second most popular team, but I don't really think anything's super popular outside of the Dodgers. Like, I think it gets fairly split up. So I'm way over on Royals and a little under on Dodgers. I like the Cardinals and the Rangers next. I think the Rangers will be not as owned as they should be. So, like, ownership wise, in my lineups, it's Royals 1, Rangers 2. And this is definitely a play everybody in, not even like 150 lineups, in like 40 lineups. I would have every single team, and I do have every single team. I've got a Marlins stack. I've got a couple A's stacks. I actually don't know if I have a twin stack, but by all means, you should do that too. But of those kind of random sneaky teams, like, as much as I have like a massive amount of Andrew Heaney, like, always have a couple stacks against Heaney. Like, you go back several years and his bad starts are completely unpredictable and out of nowhere. So I have quite a few stacks and just kind of like occasional power bats against him. And I have lineups with Heaney and Rooker in them.
Okay. Have we talked about pitching in Chicago? Because it's really good pitching weather. Who is pitching?
So Justin Steele on the pitch count is in that. So that pitch count takes him out for me. Darvish is totally viable. It's just a weird price point for him. Like, I would just rather play Reagans. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing Darvish. He just didn't quite make it for me.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful pitching weather. Every time there's winds blowing in Minnesota, and I'm going to jinx it now. In Chicago, it's like 2-1. It feels like every single time we get this weather that happens.
So what this feels like to me is a game that's 2-1, where the pitchers are not in the top 2 or 3 scorers anyway. Like,
they're not getting the Ks.
These are not big, huge. Like, Darvish really isn't a strikeout guy anymore.
Yeah.
And Steele probably gets 70 pitches. So I certainly don't like the offenses either. That game barely exists to me.
Yeah. Kyle says playing hitters against pitchers on a 6-gamer, brah. I don't think you specifically said that, but I do think you said you wanted both sides.
No, I said I have Rooker, who's an A, against Heaney. Like, it's the weirdest thing. People say you shouldn't play hitters against your pitchers with no data to back it up. Like, that's just a thing that gets said by everyone, and there's no data anywhere that suggests it's a bad idea.
Okay.
We're not talking about stacking. We're talking about one hitter.
Yeah. Okay. And then one last thing I want to note, someone said, hey, Kevin, can you go over the Minnesota weather? And I didn't know what they were talking about. I guess I missed this at some point, but winds are blowing in at Minnesota at like 15 to 20 miles per hour. They're blowing in from right center. So that is pretty good pitching conditions there in Minnesota. I looked in Weather Edge to see what has happened in similar weather games. Turns out we don't have any similar weather games with 20-mile-per-hour winds blowing in, which I guess isn't all that surprising. So I don't, it's good pitching weather. I'll tell you that. By the way, Kyle says, I appreciate the content. I didn't mean to be critical. No
worries. And I'm not critical of Kyle. Like, that's the thing
right.
that, like, it just everybody says. And like, I don't think we should just say it as a blanket statement in general. Like, one hitter against a homer prone pitcher is, to me, viable on a 15-gamer.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's go around the horn, guys. We'll start with the catcher position, and Cheese, you can lead us off.
Catcher is fantastic. Like, we've seen it a lot this year, but like, I will say on FanDuel, I think I have more 2 catcher lineups than any other kind of lineup. On a slate, you don't even need one. On DK, like this is the spot that's just bugging me more than anything because like every stack I want the catcher, but then I also want this is where I want to get sneaky. I don't even know who to tell you my favorite is. I guess Sal Perez is my favorite and Cal Raleigh is second. But I love both Contrerases, with the Cardinals Contreras being my favorite. I obviously like Will Smith. I love Jonah Heim. I like Shea Langelier. It's so good. What I'll say is in no lineup anywhere, I don't think I say that. I should look at all my lineups. I might have one. I don't think I have the cheap catcher in my stack. Like if I'm playing a Met stack, I'm not playing Thomas Nido. I'm playing Will Smith in my Met stack, or like I'm not goofing around a catcher. I want, but I don't have much separation between them because they're all fantastic.
Okay, Taylor, your thoughts on catcher?
Yeah, it is weird to see how good it is now. Like it used to be the position that you didn't want to play at all. Yeah, I don't really have any new names to add. The good guys look really good. I think the guy I have the most is Wilson Contreras. He is quite pricey on DK, but with the cheap pitching, it's pretty easy to make it happen. Like Jonah Heim. I don't mind Mitch Garver as a pivot off of Raleigh. Just, you're hoping that he's the Mariner catcher that hits a home run and Raleigh is not. I would expect Raleigh to be more popular too. So I don't mind that as a way to kind of make your Mariner stack a little different. But yeah, otherwise Perez, the other Contreras, Will Smith, Gary Sanchez even. Kind of a similar situation there with the Brewers that the Mariners have. Gary Sanchez is fully capable of hitting 2 home runs as well. So if you're stacking against Reagans, I don't mind looking to the Brewers. Okay,
how about first base?
First base, Vinny P there for the Royals, kind of not the headliner. Ohtani's the headliner, I guess, but Pasquantino, pretty good value at 4-5 on DK against Bryce Wilson. Ohtani, obviously, Freeman. You can play Ohtani in the outfield. That's probably the ideal path. If you have all the money in the world to play Freeman and Ohtani, all the better. I think Goldie is a bit overpriced for what he's been this season, but in a stack, I'm perfectly fine looking his way. Jake Cronenworth, we haven't really talked about the Padres a lot, lefty against Steele, but pure stack thing. Cronenworth's been quite good this season. His barrel rate's up significantly. So it seems like he made some kind of change over the offseason. And Rhys Hoskins, I don't mind either. Again, the Brewers against Reagans, just hoping that this is the game where he kind of face plants and you're flying past a quarter to a third of the field if that happens. So I don't mind a Milwaukee stack tonight.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts at first?
Let me touch on FanDuel first. I mentioned, I don't think you need the cheap pitchers because of the hitter pricing. Like, you can just get Castillo and play. Like, Freddie Freeman's 3,300, which is silly. Vinny P's 2,800, which I would say is silly. But again, on the FanDuel side, I love the catchers so much that I have just a tremendous amount of 2 catcher lineups. And then on DK, Ohtani's everyone's favorite play on the slate. He is my favorite play on the slate. I'd like him a little more at first than in the outfield, I think, because there's more cheap outfielders that I like. But really, other than Ohtani and Vinny P, I don't just love any individual play here.
Okay. Second base.
On DK, Michael Massey is the cheap guy of choice. On FanDuel, I would lean Jorge Polanco and then Massey as pretty cheap plays. Because of those guys, I'm not sure how popular Betts and Semien are going to be. I think Betts will still get some ownership in those Dodger stacks, so I have a ton of Semien if I'm spending up here. Basically, Semien, Polanco, Massey is my pool, and that's it. And then everything else is in a stack.
Taylor?
On FanDuel, Jose Fermin leading off for the Cardinals is only 2-1. You can play him at second or short. On DK, he's third base only, which is complicating with Arenado in the same stack. But Fermin on FanDuel looks good. Gavin Lux, kind of a punt in your Dodger stack to help you afford the rest of it. At second base looks decent to me. Obviously, Mookie, if you have all the money. Nico Horner. I don't think anyone's really playing the Cubs. Certainly not with that weather against Darvish, but leading off at 4-4 on DK looks decent enough. And McNeil, I don't mind going after Kyle Gibson. Not a huge strikeout pitcher at this stage of his career. He's kind of just hoping that the BABIP goes his way. So the Mets don't look terrible, and Jeff McNeil is affordable on DK at only 3-2. So he's on my radar a little bit.
Okay, Taylor, what do you have at third?
At third, I mentioned Fermin on DK is only 2-1 leading off. Should be pretty popular, I would think, as a result. For the Cardinals, Muncy, of course, in your Dodger stack. Christopher Morel in your Cubs stack. Looks decent enough. I'm getting to some Joey Ortiz hitting second for the Brewers as a value at 2,700 on DK. Again, going after Reagan's a little bit. I think among the expensive pitchers, he's the one that I'm most inclined to stack against. So I am getting to Milwaukee a bit. Otherwise, yeah, it's a pretty tight pool. Obviously, Arenado, if you don't want to punt with Fermin, Arenado as a result should be very low owned on DraftKings, I would think.
Cheese, third base.
I assume Muncy's the chalk, certainly on FanDuel, where he's pretty easy to get. On DK, it's possible that Josh Rojas is equal chalk to Muncy. Like, Rojas looks legit. Like I said in a tweet that almost probably sounded like I was joking. Like, he's the Mariners' best hitter this year. Like, small sample still, but like, he's been really good. He's leading off. He's too cheap. I don't mind playing Jose Fermin just because he's 2,100 and he's leading off, and he should be based on the minor league stuff, like really good plate skills. I think he's good for a punt. But if you can get up to Rojas, that's just what I'm going to do. The other expensive stuff is fine. But other than Muncy, like, I don't want to prioritize it outside of stacks. I have Arenado and Michael Garcia in the pool. But this is pretty much a Muncy or go cheap position for me.
Okay. How about shortstop, Cheese?
We've got a lot of shortstops as usual. We got bets here. Bobby Witt is my favorite. I mentioned the Royals a couple times. Corey Seager, we're still waiting on that lineup, I think. But, anytime it's lefty-lefty, he probably doesn't get super steamed up. So I love all three of those spend ups, but Witt is my favorite. A little cheaper, Lindor and Willy Adames. Willy Adames is the guy. Either Willy Adames or Contreras, a catcher, are the players I will play against Reagan's, even in a Reagan's lineup. The cheap stuff is fine. Like Mason Wynn is okay. Dylan Moore is okay. Because the expensive guys are very expensive. So if you get stuck and can't get them, I've got some Moore and Wynn.
Taylor, shortstop.
Yeah, Moore and Wynn are two that I had my eye on, definitely. Francisco Lindor as a pay up in your Met stack against Gibson. Certainly a priority there. Overall favorites, Mookie, but close second is Bobby Witt. I'm not really going out on the limb with that. Seager looks good, even lefty-lefty against Alex Wood. And I mentioned the Cubs a little, so Dansby Swanson hitting in the heart of the order looks decent enough.
That brings us to the outfield, I do believe. Taylor, what are we doing there? We're playing Shohei.
So we're playing Shohei Ohtani. We have that out of the way. You're probably playing Teoscar Hernandez if you're stacking the Dodgers. James Outman in the lineup, hitting ninth, but he's 3,200, so he looks solid. Julio Rodriguez is really the only pay up in the whole Mariners lineup, so you can anchor your stack with him against Woods Richardson. Daron Blanco is garnering a lot of ownership, it looks like, on DK for 2-4, hitting ninth for Kansas City, just kind of a wraparound option in your KC stack. Andy Pages, another cheaper Dodger. He's up to 4K on DraftKings, but he's been quite good, and he fits in nicely in the heart of that lineup. Adolis Garcia, Travis Jankowski is projected to hit sixth, so he looks like a decent punt for 2-3 if you're going down with an outfield spot. The one Marlin that's any good, I guess, at this point is Jazz Chisholm. So I am getting a bit of him against Buehler. I mean, Buehler's coming back from Tommy John. He hasn't pitched in like a year and a half. There's a big possibility or a decent possibility that he's just rusty or not the same guy or something. So the Marlins, as ugly as the lineup is not a completely, atrocious way to build, even though it looks that way on paper. Mitch Haniger in your Mariners stack. Tatis even has a one-off in that Padres-Cubs game. And Dylan Carlson, I guess it's worth a mention too, for 2-4 on DK. And a pretty cheap, it's like a good mix of expensive and cheap bats in the Cardinal stack. So I think they should garner some ownership too. All
right, Cheese, outfield.
Ohtani and Adolis Garcia are the two I'm paying up for. Teoscar is a little bit cheaper and kind of everyone's favorite kind of upper mid-tier guy. Of course, play some Tatis or Julio Rodriguez, Jazz Chisholm. All these guys are completely viable any day, but they don't really make my primary pool tonight. Mid-tier stuff, MJ Melendez, probably my favorite, followed by Outman, and Brent Rooker. That's kind of the 4K range on DK. A little cheaper, like DJ Stewart is on my list. And some of the guys Taylor mentioned, like Blanco, Dylan Carlson, throw Hunter Renfroe in there as well.
Fair enough, guys. We need some home run picks. That's what the people are clamoring for. We still have 20 minutes until lock, which is quite a long time. So make sure you're getting those questions in. In the meantime, got to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. If you're not, what are you doing with your life? NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, MLB, all going down. Whatever level you're looking for, we can help you there too. You get a 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price, $469.99. That's a savings of $250 instead of buying 6 individual months. And get your first month of RG Premium $40 off, which is great. And if you want to test run or just dip your toes in the water, 3-day pass, $19.99. Make sure you are checking out all those promos while they are still around. And hopefully with that, Cheese, I have bought you a little bit of time. Eric says 5-year combo. Did I say 5-year combo? If I did, it's probably a thing. I bet you could email Devin and make it happen. If you sign up if you sign up for 5 years, we'll see what we can do about getting you a deal. You got to pay up front though. Cheese, what are we doing home run wise?
Whoever Kirkwood said, that's who I'm going with because he didn't want to do it either. About Salvador Perez, Josh Rojas, and Jonah Heim.
Okay. I get Ohtani. That's my bold pick.
Careful out there on that limb, buddy.
Yeah. It's my bold choice of the day. Taylor, you got a few names for me?
Sure. Let's. I'll say Max Muncy. I'll be very bold, just like you. Brent Rooker, a little off the board, and let's go Jazz Chisholm.
Okay. Good stuff, guys. Let's get some questions here. Bring them on. If you got baseball questions, you got food questions, you got Kentucky Derby questions, whatever it is. Cheese, did you watch the Kentucky Derby?
No, I was at my festival, probably eating a funnel cake around that time.
Yeah. Taylor, you watched the Kentucky Derby? You're not a big horse race guy.
I usually actually like to watch it. I did not catch it this time, though. I did hear it was a photo finish, though.
I know. I usually watch it every year, and I, too, missed out, and it looked pretty awesome. Let's see. We'll all watch it next year, and it'll be lame. Cheese, your favorite stack in a FanDuel single entry, is it the Dodgers, or is that too chalky?
Royals.
Ooh, very nice. Okay. DK Cash question. Taylor, Castillo with Heaney or Reagans?
I think Castillo and Heaney is perfectly fine in cash.
Okay. DK GPP. Taylor, right back to you. I'm stacking St. Louis. Do you like Heaney and Arenado or Fermin and Castillo?
Well, I think the Fermin Castillo one's going to be a lot more popular, but it is the better side, I think. So go with it.
Okay. Cheese, Garver, Haniger. It would complete a Seattle full stack, or Raleigh and Outman, which would complete a full Dodger stack. The latter seems to be carrying a little bit more ownership. It's a FanDuel single entry question.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do the full Seattle stack and do Garver instead of Raleigh. That does get you a little more different, and they both have similar potential.
Okay, great. DKGPP, Cheese, back to you. Heaney Carter or Reagans and Jankowski?
Did the lineup come out? The Red Texas lineup? Okay.
Jankowski's not in it.
That's what I was going to say. Not that.
Okay, not that one. Let's see, Taylor, Lux or Outman?
But wait, Carter's not in either. So you got to redo the whole thing.
Okay, well, yep, rework that whole question here. Taylor, Lux or Outman, last man in FanDuel Dodger stack?
Give me Lux there. I think he's less likely to get pinch hit for.
Okay. Taylor Scott says, DKGPP, how much Manuel Margot is too much Manuel Margot?
I have probably 0%, so 1% too much.
Yeah. Any is too much for you. Ooh. All right. What do we got? Cheese.
That's my favorite question of all time on the show.
Yeah.
How much Manuel Margot against Louis Castillo batting ninth is too much. I don't even know how to answer that.
Any is the answer, apparently. Juice says, hey, Cheese, who are your two favorite pitchers with the most unexpected K upside on the slate? That's an interesting question. Is there anyone out there who you think has sneaky K upside?
No. I mean, it would be Woods Richardson, but that's not really sneaky. I mean, everyone who's playing him is playing him because he has sneaky K upside, which is not sneaky. But yeah, I guess ownership-wise, he's still sneaky. So we'll say Woods Richardson and Cole Reagans.
Okay. Cheese, I'm just reading this question cold. It's very long. I haven't pre-read it. So let's see. If you had a pool of similar projected ROI lineups, would you prefer lineups with smaller lineup gaps for additional correlation or larger lineups gaps for additional leverage?
So the way I play, like building by hand and looking at each lineup, like there's not a standard answer to that. Like if I had to just pick one or the other, just period as always, I would say larger lineup gaps. But it's case by case basis for me.
Okay. Good answer. DK tournament, best pitcher, Taylor, under 78 hundo.
It's Heaney by default. I am getting to some Woods Richardson, some Kyle Gibson, but it's really just those three. I'm not considering anybody else.
Okay. Devin, not our Devin, but other Devin, says, Taylor, is Jose Fermin the brother of Royals catcher Freddie Fermin?
I would guess yes, but
time to Google.
I was wondering that too.
Google
somebody should be able to tell us. And are they both pronounced Fermin if they're not related? One of them could be Furman.
Right.
We like trained ourselves to say Freddie Fermin.
Exactly.
I don't actually know that it's Jose Fermin and not Jose Furman.
Yeah.
There's an accent on Wikipedia for both Fermins.
Okay.
So, but the Wikipedia articles don't mention the other one. So
maybe they're not related.
Complete strangers playing in the same
Where
state.
are the Fermins from?
Jose's Dominican. I guess that would be a good tip, wouldn't it?
That's what I'm thinking.
Freddie is Venezuelan.
Hey, probably not brothers. Not impossible, but probably not related.
Mystery
all right.
solved.
Yep. Does Renfroe have pinch hit risk? Usually we have Derek Carty, who's got a magic machine that tells us, but we do have Cheese. He has a magic brain, which tells us Cheese.
So I'm going to say, risk, sure, but he's a righty who's starting against a righty. So essentially that means no. If it's a righty starting against a lefty, that's when you have pinch hit risk.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense even to me.
And if they're going to take somebody out late, it's probably Blanco ahead of Renfroe anyway. And the guy who would come in for those guys is another righty. So I'll just say no. Don't worry about it.
Great. Chalk at third base, Cheese, FanDuel Cash, Muncy or Rojas?
I'd play Muncy. I like Rojas a lot too, but in cash, just play Muncy.
Okay. Jake Sutton says, Taylor, what are your thoughts on the Rangers lineup just came out?
Let's take a look at that. Yeah, I guess the absence of Carter and Jankowski, those are two lefties that aren't in there against Wood. They put Duran in there. They put, I think Wenzel is in there.
Wenzel and Kisner are both unexpected in there.
So Heim and Kisner are both playing. So another team with two catchers, but Heim's obviously the priority. Yeah, it still looks good at the top. The top 5 or 6 are good bats. I think Wenzel's probably cheap, so looks good to me.
Okay. K-Town's Finest says, Taylor, your thoughts on an A's-Dodgers stack?
I like it just because, I don't think people are going to be stacking those two teams together, and Heaney is going to be popular, so playing against him makes sense.
Scrolling down. Let's jump really quickly. Hey, by the way, if you're watching this, it's free, and all that we ask is that you hit a little thumbs up, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We do this every single day, if not multiple times a day. So make sure you are smashing that like button for us while Taylor answers this FanDuel cash question. It's a 3v3. Whit Melendez and Vinny P, or Fermin, Teoscar, and Simeon.
Both sound good. I think the second one sounds slightly better.
Okay. J Sam says, Cheese or Taylor? Taylor, I'll give it to you. Which team on FanDuel do you think carries more ownership, Seattle or KC?
Well, let's take a look. I was thinking Seattle will be more popular on DK because of their cheap salaries.
My lineups alone shifted to KC.
There you go.
Okay.
I really do think probably a slight lean to KC, but Taylor, are you thinking those are the two after the Dodgers who pick up the most ownership? That's my lean.
Yeah, St. Little, those probably card still.
Okay. Cheese, let's see. MT Red Sox says, I don't know if you answered it already, but can you play Richardson and Castillo in the same GPP lineup?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I did have some people asking about whether they wanted to know the Kansas City game. Essentially, the main line should arrive just after the game ends. There is a chance, it's a legitimate chance, that you get a pop-up shower or storm out ahead of the main line. It causes a delay, and then the main line moves in, and then you only get, maybe 7 innings of the game. That's possible. I don't think it's the most likely outcome, but it is certainly within the realm of possibility in this kind of setup. So just a heads up, that could happen. Let's see. FanDuel cash question. Geez. Reagans and E. Ruiz, or Castillo and Duran?
Castillo and Duran.
Is E. Ruiz, is it like estuary?
Exactly. Yeah, the Oakland leadoff hitter. Like the bird sanctuary. Yeah.
Yes, that's every time I see that name, I'm like, I'm not sure how to say this.
Estuary is how you say it.
Okay, I'm going to stick with estuary.
Estuary, I like better.
Yeah. Is Castillo too highly owned in a GPP? I'm shaking my head no, but I'm not the one that should be answering it. Taylor, is he too highly owned in a GPP?
No. Pitchers generally have more reliable ranges of outcomes, so he projects as the best for a reason, and I wouldn't say he's overwhelmingly, like 50% on DK is pretty high, but still playing him.
Okay. Hoosiers Hang Banner says, Cheese, Knicks or Pacers, who you got?
Cavs.
Yeah, that's it's good.
I didn't know there was another series.
The answer is the Knicks. They're so bad offensively, but they're such dogs, and their defense and their rebounding is so amazing. Give me the Knicks with Jalen Brunson dropping 40 plus in getting the dub in a low scoring tight game. DePrince says Fermin or Duran best play overall. Cheese, Fermin or Duran best play overall.
Probably Fermin.
Taylor, do you have a strong lean on the Knicks Pacers question, by the way? You are actually, you follow basketball.
I would like the Knicks to win because I think they're fun to watch, and I don't really have anything for the Indiana Pacers. So, go Knicks.
That's kind of where I am. And by the way, Nothing says you're like a hoop head than thinking that the Knicks are fun to watch, because that's like, it is not the prettiest brand of basketball by any means.
Like the garden looks like it's pretty awesome, and the whole thing. It's a good vibe. I like what they have going on.
Yeah. Let's see. Taylor, Wenzel, $2,100 is the top points per dollar on RG projections on FanDuel. Do you think he is a solid cash play now, or do you just get up to Muncie?
He's definitely playable in cash just because he's cheap. I don't think Muncie's an absolute must-have either. So yeah, for me, it's completely fine in cash.
Okay. Cheese, is Heaney too chalky DK single entry?
I mean, that question has no answer. He's very chalky is the only answer. I mean,
but
like what I said, I'm playing Heaney. I think the most correct play by the book, a lot of air quotes there, is Woods Richardson instead of Heaney. But that's not what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. Daryl George, all the way from South Carolina, Yahoo Cash question. First base, Cheese, am I going for gold with Goldie, or am I calling my cousin Vinny, a.k.a. Vinny Pasquantino? Nicely worded.
You can't
question,
play
Daryl.
both of the two Utes. Play Vinny P.
Okay, there you go. Devin, curious how many freaking Devins there are around these parts. I think, Devin, it's you and then our coworker who we love. So you are by far our second favorite Devin.
Another Devin came in with one of those questions today, though. There was a mysterious third Devin.
Okay.
We also love.
You're above him. Yeah, Devin N, you're above him. You're solidly in the middle there. It's just tough to beat out our Devin.
But the other Devin did ask a question that involved a royal. So he could fit in with this Devin. They can hang out. As long as you mention a royal, you can be friends with Devin.
You get your Devin posse together here. Teoscar or Rooker, Taylor? Who you got?
Teoscar's the much chalkier play, but Rooker is probably just as good. So take that for what it's worth.
Okay. What else do we have? Joaquin in the chat is teaching me how to say. He typed the word estuary. It's just estuary. I can't say. I see it, and my brain.
Spelling it doesn't help you pronounce it.
Yeah, like I see it, but that's estuary to me, and there's not much I can do about that. Cheese, when playing tournaments and choosing batters and stacking, do you kind of throw strikeout percentage out the window if you're home run chasing, or is it matchup dependent? That's an interesting question. Is that something you look at?
I assume he means strikeout percentage for the hitters.
That's what I'm. That's what I was assuming.
In chasing homers, I throw strikeout percentage out the window. Yes.
Yeah.
In stacking, I do not.
Okay. All right. FanDuel single entry question for you, Taylor. Cal Raleigh, my guy, or Teoscar Hernandez? Oh, I'm sorry. Cal and Teoscar Hernandez, or Mitch Haniger and Max Muncy?
I think the first one sounds a little bit better, but again, they're both quite strong.
Okay. Tom says a 3v3 Raleigh of the Cal variety, and Taylor, it's for you. Raleigh, Betts, Carlson, or Garver, Wendell, and Rodriguez?
The first one.
NBA DFS says Haniger or Profar. Last piece, DK Cash, Cheese, Haniger or Profar?
Give me Haniger.
CLT Go Blue says, hey, Roth, RG contributor Will Priester, a.k.a. the Chief, is also all the way from South Carolina, but I never say it with such gumption. How come? I guess because I didn't know. And also because he doesn't introduce himself.
Does Will mention that often enough? Maybe Will should mention that more often.
Right. Like every time our guy Daryl in the chat says something, he mentions that he is all the way from South Carolina. So he gets the read. We got to have Chief start bringing that up. Jake says if the season were to end today, Reagan's would be the AL Cy Young. I have no idea who's pitching well. Cheese, in fact, in my mind, nobody's pitching well this year, which I'm sure is wrong.
Plenty of people are pitching well, but no, certainly not Reagan's. I wouldn't even say he's in the top 10 if the season ended today.
Okay.
Tomorrow, he'll be top 10 after what he does tonight.
All right. Jelly says Cheese, Tatis, or Julio?
Tatis, is way off the board. So do Tatis.
Our guy Devin, not our Devin, other Devin, says, I'm a homer. We know he's a homer. We know he's the biggest homer that we've got here. He says he bet Reagan Cy Young, Witt MVP, and Royals over 72.5 on the season. Feeling pretty good about
that's conceivable. I don't think Reagan's gets there. He's one of those better in DFS than in real life, even though he's fantastic in real life. But I mean, they're going to win over 72. 72 was the number.
Yeah,
that's free money. That's a good team. Yeah,
you hit the lot. That's already. You can cash that out now.
They probably have 72 already.
Yeah. Let's see. JWH. Geez, I'm going to give this one to you. Hang on. We got some love here from J Sams. JWH, I'm bringing that question in a second. He says, shout out to the team. I forgot. Ended up second place in the $25 single entry and third in the $9 props. Shout out to the gang. And by that, he means the RG gang and the Crunch Time gang. Hey, good job, J Sams. Good stuff. Love to see those good results. MK Polano says, my man Cheese, I got 5 Kansas City, 2 Oakland, and Fermin. I'll see you at the top.
If your 2 Oakland beats my 1 Oakland, you can finish first. I'll finish second. I'm fine with that. Good to see you up there.
Yeah, of like mind. All right, JWH, we're coming up on lock. I do want to get this question here. It is so infrequent that a high point per dollar pitcher is too highly owned. Much more common, they are not highly owned enough, even when they are highly owned. So I think he's saying cheap value pitchers are not played enough, is what I got from that question. Do you agree with that?
So I read what he wrote. I think he's saying he thinks the expensive pitchers should be more owned than they are. Like a 50% owned Castillo should be 70%. I think that's how I was reading it, that he's saying he would still play them at 50%.
I see. Yeah.
And it depends on the slate and how many good pitchers there are. And I think if you're talking large field stuff, I totally agree with that. Like ownership just gets spread out such that the chalk isn't even that chalky. In higher dollar single entry, that's not the case. Like that expensive stuff might be 80% owned someday. Like Castillo will probably be like 60% in higher single entry versus 40% in large field.
Yeah. Okay. A quick Wemby conversation going on here. Taylor, have you seen the supercut of players deciding they don't want to try a shot against Wemby? Have you seen that on Twitter?
I have not, unfortunately.
Oh, it's freaking amazing. There's like 3-on-1s against Wemby, and they all just like pull out. They're like, no, just wait for 5-on-5. We're not even going to try. And it's just, it happens so many times this year. If he's not defensive player of the year, if dudes won't even attempt a 3-on-1 against you, isn't defensive player of the year, I don't know what it is. Like, he better win DPOY. Yeah. He better win it.
I don't think he will, but he will probably win like 10 of them over the years.
Yeah, so, what I've learned from Dean is that he has no chance. Because the guy that invented COVID is going to win it.
Yes, yeah. Good memory. Look at you paying attention. It's just wrong. He's just a better defensive player than Rudy Gobert. He just is. And they're giving it to Gobert because his team had the better record.
Rudy Gobert's nickname forever is now the guy who invented COVID.
It used to be the Stifle Tower, which was so cool, and now it's the guy who invented COVID. All right, let's do it. Let's bounce. We'll get on out of here. Taylor, for Cheese, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.